Chapter 21. Before he could react, the fast aura in front of him was already approaching. After getting closer, Lin Yuan saw the petite body and was stunned for a moment. It turned out to be an otter with a body length of less than 4 feet and just over 1 meter. From Lin Yuan's own perception, it seemed to be only a level 4 demonic beast. The otter's eyes were already white, obviously affected by the crimson moon. Lin Yuan didn't have time to think. The other party was probably attracted by the aura of the chilling stone grass that Lin Yuan spat out. In the face of this attribute, there was no reason to not take it. This otter was very fast and small, so it was very difficult to catch. But at this moment, it had lost its mind and was crazily rushing towards Lin Yuan. So Lin Yuan easily wrapped it with his tail. Without even using strangulation, the otter was directly killed. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing level 4 monster otter. Gained 1 attribute point. Ding! You have gained 1 point from the mission of the mutated moon. Current total points, 17. Lin Yuan gained 1 attribute point. This was actually a level 4 monster, but its speed was twice as fast as other attributes. If it was in normal times, with this speed, this otter would definitely not be afraid of any level 6 monster. After all, if it couldn't beat it, it could run. Lin Yuan gained 1 attribute point at the most critical moment. His heart was wild with joy, and he added this valuable attribute point to defense. Suddenly, he felt a different kind of power diffusing out of his body, baptizing every muscle and bone in his body, making him stronger, and then there was no and then, this was the feeling of adding a normal attribute point. He didn't even become a level 5 monster. System, what's going on? Under the shock, Lin Yuan didn't have time to think. He continued to run forward, and at the same time began to question the system. After not getting a response, Lin Yuan calmed down a little. He sensed his mind and was suddenly scared out of his wits. Just now, under the extreme shock, he was affected by the crimson moon and almost lost his mind. Fortunately, he was able to resist the influence and now he was able to recover. After the delay, the distance between the 2 level 5 monsters behind him was greatly shortened. Lin Yuan subconsciously looked at the attribute panel. After running for the whole night, he hoped that he could survive the last 2 hours. But he still didn't understand why he didn't become a level 5 monster. The doubts in his heart became heavier and heavier. At a moment, the system gave a prompt. Ding! Host, please note, before level 5 monster, every level up requires 3 attribute points. From level 5 onwards, every level requires 1 attribute point. Lin Yuan pondered this sentence and suddenly had an impulse to curse. There were too many things that didn't go well tonight. According to the system, from level 5 onwards, every level required 1 attribute point. From level 4 to level 5, it required 4 attribute points, from level 5 to level 6, and so on. He still needed 1 attribute point, but at this time, there seemed to be no monsters nearby, at least there were no monsters in the river. Lin Yuan didn't dare to go ashore at this time. Once he went ashore, his speed would be affected, and the distance between the 2 sides would be shortened in a very short time. Now Lin Yuan could only think of one way, and that was to delay until sunrise, when the mission of the Crimson Moon was completed. At that time, he might be able to get 1 attribute point, so he could smoothly be promoted to level 5 and fight with Lin Xiang and Jin Shi. Time passed by, and Lin Yuan suddenly felt the speed of the water flow increase. He didn't think much about it, and he was a little glad in his heart. Following the flow, he sped up his speed. He continued to move forward, and then he felt the water flow become out of control. He wasn't swimming in the water, but the water flow was carrying him forward. Lin Yuan was anxious, but he didn't panic. He calmly released his perception, and then he knew the reason. It was a waterfall. Less than 500 meters in front of him was a big waterfall. At the same time, Lin Yuan found something even more incredible. The river he was in was just a small tributary, and he was now being pulled by the suction force of the waterfall into the wide main river. Floating on the water, Lin Yuan didn't need to look back. He knew that Lin Xiang and Jin Shi had caught up with him. He gritted his teeth and gave the control of his body to the river. Even if he fell into the waterfall, it was better than facing Jin Shi and Lin Xiang here. Maybe he could escape alive. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of rolling water, like thousands of horses galloping, resounded between heaven and earth. The place where the waterfall was located was shrouded in mist, and there were several smooth big stones standing on the cliff of the waterfall. Lin Yuan struggled to control his body in the river to avoid hitting the big stones. Roar! At this time, Lin Yuan felt an overbearing flame behind his head. Lin Yuan didn't dare to be careless and quickly sank to the bottom of the river. Through the sparkling water, he saw that the majestic Jin Shi had jumped to the big stone on the cliff of the waterfall, and it opened its mouth to spit out a large amount of flame toward the bottom of the river. Suddenly, the river boiled, and Lin Yuan's whole body sank into the boiling water. His scales instantly turned up, and he estimated that he would be cooked in less than a quarter of an hour. At this moment, he made up his mind and didn't think about anything else. With the cold stone grass in his mouth, he planned to rush to the edge of the waterfall covered by the flame. With the river blocking, the flame itself wasn't very powerful. At most, it would burn his scales, but it would definitely not be fatal. Just as Lin Yuan was about to rush over directly, a loud vibration suddenly came from the bottom of the river, and the whole riverbed suddenly rose up as if it was picked up by a big hand. The turbulent water flow and the violent impact force made Lin Yuan dizzy, and he almost fainted directly. Coupled with the boiling river water, his whole body suddenly became miserable. The scales on the surface of his body burst open, and the surface of his skin and flesh had been scalded. His whole body swelled up, and he looked very miserable. The suddenly raised riverbed lifted Lin Yuan, and his huge body was thrown out of the river and flew several feet. The Jin Shi saw the opportunity and directly rushed over, slapping Lin Yuan with his claws and pushing him to the shore. At this moment, Lin Yuan made up his mind and directly spat out the cold stone grass in his mouth toward Lin Xiang's position. This was the only way he could think of to get out of the Jin Shi's hands. Sure enough, the Jin Shi roared when he saw this scene. He didn't entangle with Lin Yuan, but his claws turned abruptly in mid-air and chased after the cold stone grass in the air. Wu! Lin Xiang let out a long hiss, suddenly swung his trunk, raised his forelimbs, and suddenly stomped. Several slender, smooth, and sharp stone spears shot out from the ground and attacked the Jin Shi. Lin Yuan, who crashed to the shore, was horrified when he saw this terrible blow. If he were to face these stone spears, he would probably be turned into a barbecue skewer in an instant. Chapter 22. Lin Yuan really saw the horror of a level 5 monster beast, and the despair in his heart deepened. Roar! On the other side, the golden lion, who was in the air and could not borrow any force, was facing Lin Xiang's almost fatal blow. With a roar, it was too late to change its position, so it could only choose to spit out flames to shake Lin Xiang. However, the golden lion's strength seemed to be weaker than Lin Xiang's. The flame flow did not work well against the stone spears. It burned a few of them, and the golden lion managed to dodge a few of them. However, there were still 2 stone spears that pierced into the golden lion's shoulders, causing it to roar furiously. This was the first time that the 2 terrifying level 5 monster beasts had been injured. Previously, the fight was lukewarm. In fact, both sides still had a game mentality. At this time, the golden lion exposed its primitive bestial nature. Covered in flames, it roared and rushed to Lin Xiang after being injured. Lin Yuan fell to the ground. There was no intact scale on his body. At first glance, he did not look like a living creature. However, he still relied on his tenacious will to survive and struggled strongly. He moved his body little by little, intending to leave this place to avoid the fight between the 2 level 5 monster beasts affecting him. The battle between the golden lion and Lin Xiang was within 500 meters of Lin Yuan. The 2 sides fought back and forth. Because they were close to the river, the golden lion's flame power seemed to be limited, but Lin Xiang did not have the slightest scruple. Therefore, by sensing its breath, Lin Yuan could tell that Lin Xiang had temporarily gained the upper hand. It created a cage made of stone spears to wrap the cold stone grass and prevent the golden lion from approaching. The red moon in the sky had set in the west, and the dark sky began to faintly turn white from the east. However, the golden lion's state was becoming more and more unstable. Obviously, the long battle had affected its rationality. If it was still late at night, it might have been directly affected by the red moon. Lin Yuan could only escape into the river at this moment. He could only escape from the two level 5 monster beasts by going downstream and entering the waterfall. Although he was very unwilling to lose the cold stone grass, there was no other way now. Even if the mission failed, he could not recover from the downgrade of his skills. However, as long as the system was here, Lin Yuan felt that he would not be in a hopeless situation. First of all, it was more realistic to survive. However, due to his previous injuries, his skin had completely festered. The power of the flames had invaded his body, causing his movements to be so slow that they were almost stagnant. The distance between him and the riverbank was a distance that could be crossed in the blink of an eye before, but now it was so far away that it was like the border between life and death. The battle between Lin Xiang and the golden lion over the cold stone grass gradually became white-hot. The number of stone spears and flame bursts gradually decreased. In the end, the battle between the demon beasts returned to the most primitive form of tussle. The golden lion had sharp teeth and claws. It had the innate advantage of being a predator. At the same level, its strength and speed were not much weaker than Lin Xiang's. Although Lin Xiang had 4 sturdy fangs and a huge body, once he lost the most powerful force in his hands, he would lose the means to win against the golden lion. After such a change, the power between Jin Shi and Lin Xiang once again reached a balance, and the balance of the battle began to tilt in Jin Shi's favor. Lin Yuan, who was slowly approaching the riverbank, suddenly had a thought from the bottom of his heart: Lin Xiang will win. Its body was larger, and its endurance was obviously better than the golden lion's. According to the current intensity of the battle, the winner and loser between the two would be decided by sunrise. However, even if the golden lion lost, it would still have the strength to escape. With such an idea, Lin Yuan had a new understanding of the Class 5 demon beasts. It seemed that he had stepped onto another platform. In this dangerous mountain forest, he had the fundamental strength to stand firm and would not easily die. At this moment, Lin Yuan's idea of being promoted to a Class 5 demon beast came so suddenly that a trace of regret gradually appeared in his heart. If he had known this would be the result, perhaps he would have directly given up on the cold stone grass and run away when he first discovered Lin Xiang and the golden lion's plan. That way, he would not have ended up in such a miserable state. Although he thought so, Lin Yuan's movements did not slow down at all. He slowly but firmly climbed towards the riverbank. At this moment, the battle between Lin Xiang and the golden lion was gradually becoming white-hot. Neither of them had the mind or the ability to deal with Lin Yuan, who was almost vulnerable. If he was still a human, he would not have been able to react in such a situation. It would be good if he could still maintain his consciousness. However, as a beast, Lin Yuan could still move forward in such a situation. After a night of running and fighting, Lin Yuan struggled for nearly an hour when he was 500 meters away from the riverbank. He wanted to fall asleep, but he knew that he absolutely could not close his eyes so easily. Because once he closed them, he might never be able to open them again. Finally, a ray of sunlight broke through the clouds in the eastern sky, leaping over the mountains and illuminating the world. At this moment, Lin Yuan finally touched the river. Relying on the last of his strength, he lost control of his body and slid into the river, allowing the torrent to carry him forward. The crashing sound of the waterfall was soul-shaking and deafening. I wonder if I can survive falling from the waterfall? Lin Yuan had such worries and doubts in his heart, but at this moment, he had no other choice. If he stayed in the same place, it would be a dead end. Not to mention the threat of Lin Xiang and the golden lion. Last night, during the blood moon, violent demon beasts ran rampant everywhere. Even at dawn, the jungle was still more dangerous than usual. With Lin Yuan's current situation, even a level 1 demon beast could easily take his life. If that happened, it would be like delivering a human head to him. Just as he fell into the river and his consciousness was blurred, Lin Yuan suddenly heard the golden lion's unwilling roar and Lin Xiang's long hiss, which seemed to be declaring victory. Then came the sound of the system, ding. Congratulations to the host for completing the mission, Mutated Blood Moon. You have gained a total of 17 mission points. Mission completion evaluation is in progress, ding. Mission evaluation completed. Mission completion level B. You have gained 3 attribute points and an item, Qingyu. Shua. Lin Yuan suddenly opened his eyes and found that he was rapidly falling down the waterfall. However, at this time, the surrounding time seemed to have stopped for him. Lin Yuan opened his eyes and did not think much. He did not even have time to rejoice or be excited. He just instinctively divided the 3 attribute points into attack, speed, and defense. Almost at the same time, Lin Yuan's attributes finally received a qualitative change. Host, Lin Yuan status, Big Black Snake, Evolvable, Realm, 5 out of 10 Talent, 1. Identify the enemy's position by smell. 2. Form an accurate image of the body within 500 meters by smell. Speed, 6 Defense, 6 Attack, 6 allocable points, 0 Martial Arts, Golden Body Secret Skill, Strangle Skill, Poison Enhancement Mission, Battle for the Nest, Mission Stage 1, Territory Uniqueness Temporary Mission, Grass in the Mouth, Mission Countdown, 30 minutes. Special Mission, Greedy Heart. Chapter 23. With the addition of the 3 attribute points, Lin Yuan finally met the requirements for promotion and instantly transformed into a level 5 monster beast. At this moment, the wounds on his body began to heal rapidly. Lin Yuan felt that there were countless magical forces in the water merging into his body and becoming a part of him. The violent water flow and the falling waterfall seemed to have become lighter at this moment. He gradually controlled his body in the waterfall and finally stopped in the middle of the violent waterfall. Lin Yuan's body once again expanded. The burned muscles on the surface of his body quickly dried up. Finally, Lin Yuan broke free from it and shed a complete huge snake skin. At this time, his body had officially broken through 6 feet. His body had become thicker and his whole body was covered with beautiful dark scales with a metallic luster. At the same time, a green light flashed 7 inches behind his neck and a cluster of thin green feathers grew there. Compared to Lin Yuan's huge body, which was close to 20 meters, this cluster of green feathers should be inconspicuous. However, it could be noticed at first glance. Roar. Lin Yuan opened his mouth and roared. This was not something that ordinary snakes could do. However, at this moment, Lin Yuan had been promoted to a level 5 monster beast and stepped onto a whole new level. Ding! Congratulations to host for successfully promoting to a level 5 monster beast. You have obtained the talent of water control. Talent, water control. After continuous efforts and promotion, you have finally transcended the category of ordinary creatures. Your body has awakened an unusual power. From now on, you can control the flow of water. As you become stronger, the power of water control will also become stronger. Talent effect, you can freely control the movement and breathing of water under the water. You can control the flow of water within a range of 500 meters. In the absence of water, your strength will be limited. When underwater, all attributes will be increased by 1. It had to be said that this was a very powerful talent. Lin Yuan was overjoyed. His snake face was full of a natural human smile. At level 5, even an ordinary monster beast would start to get rid of the instincts of a beast and gain rationality. Lin Xiang could control the earth and the golden lion could control the flames. At this moment, he had obtained the ability to control the flow of water. This meant that he had officially stepped onto the level of a powerhouse. Looking at the mission countdown of the grass in his mouth, Lin Yuan did not have time to check the cluster of light feathers behind his head. He directly went against the flow of the waterfall and returned to the previous battlefield in the blink of an eye. At this time, the battle between the Golden Lion and Lin Xiang had already come to an end. The Golden Lion ran away in a sorry state. There were several broken stone spears stuck in his body. His beautiful mane was messy and covered with blood. His body also looked weak. On the other side, Lin Xiang seemed to be in a good state. However, one of its 4 long fangs was broken. The broken part was in a charred state. Obviously, it was burned by the golden lion's flames. It was also blind in one eye. The hideous claw marks on its cheek made Lin Xiang look even more ferocious. At this moment, it was taking heavy steps towards the cold stone grass that had been trapped by Lin Xiang's stone spear cage since the beginning of the battle. At this moment, it had been almost 24 hours since the harvest time. Lin Yuan had to take back the cold stone grass before the time was up and kill Lin Xiang and the golden lion. Otherwise, even if he took back the cold stone grass in the end, if the time was over or the cold stone grass was eaten by Lin Xiang, he was afraid that he would not be able to complete the mission and would be punished. Boom! With all attributes increased by 1 in the water, his speed increased by 7 points. In the blink of an eye, he caught up with the escaping golden lion along the river. There were fewer trees along the river bank, and the terrain was slightly more open. Originally, the golden lion had no problem escaping along the river bank. Of course, the premise was that it was only facing Lin Xiang. Now that it was facing Lin Yuan, it naturally had no way to escape. The waves rolled up, and a 6-foot-long giant snake crossed the river and soared into the sky, bringing with it a water tornado. Several water spears were shot towards the golden lion. This change was too fast, and the golden lion's attention was focused on Lin Xiang when it was escaping. In the face of this sudden attack, it seemed that it could not react in time. Puff puff puff. The water spears were slightly weaker than Lin Xiang's stone spears, but at this time, it was enough to penetrate the golden lion's muscles and bones, opening 3 big bloody holes in his body. At the same time, Lin Yuan, who was wrapped in the waves, had rushed to the shore. The water tornado directly wrapped around the golden lion. Lin Yuan took advantage of the situation and entangled the golden lion. At the same time, he opened his mouth and bit the golden lion's nose. The golden lion's mane was lush, making it difficult to bite. The nose was soft and defenseless, so Lin Yuan bit down almost without thinking. After being promoted to a rank 5 monster beast, the 6 points of attack were doubled under the effect of strangle. The golden lion, who seemed incomparably powerful in front of Lin Yuan before, could not resist at all. At the same time, Lin Yuan also injected venom into the golden lion's nose. Then, he ignored the golden lion and jumped back into the river, swimming quickly towards Lin Xiang. Woo! Contrary to Lin Yuan's expectations, the huge Lin Xiang directly threw away the cold stone grass and ran towards the depths of the jungle. Before leaving, it fiercely stomped its front foot, and a violent force gushed out from its foot, sweeping across both sides of the long river. Even the vast power of the waterfall seemed to be restrained for a moment. This force finally erupted around the cold stone grass. This Lin Xiang actually wanted to destroy the cold stone grass. Roar! Lin Yuan did not care about chasing after it. He used his speed to crazily approach the cold stone grass. Enduring the vibrations and the shooting gravel, he caught the fragile strange plant in the middle of the rubble and resisted all the damage. But at this moment, with his 7 points of defense, he was able to easily deal with this kind of fatal attack. The shooting gravel could not even break his scales. When everything calmed down, Lin Yuan steadily landed on the shore. Lin Xiang had already gone far away. Although this guy's body was huge, but when it really ran, its speed was not slow. After this night, Lin Yuan had too many things to digest. At this time, he did not have the time nor the mind to chase after it. In another direction, the golden lion, who had run not far away, finally lost its strength and fell to the ground. Dark blood oozed out of its mouth and nose. It had already died from the poison. The sun in the east completely leaped out of the mountains, and the golden light shone down, making the river around him sparkling. The morning fog rising from the waterfall finally dispersed. Lin Yuan stood on the cliff of the waterfall with a small flower in his mouth, and the blue fluffy feathers on his neck fluttered, making him look extremely handsome. As the golden lion fell, the system timely sounded. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing the level 5 monster golden lion. You have gained 1 attribute point. The reward for the first kill of a level 5 monster has been activated. You have gained a chance to draw a skill. Ding! Congratulations to the host. Within a radius of 500 li, there is no monster above level 3 that dares to be your enemy. The first stage of the battle for the nest is completed. Calculating. Chapter 24. Listening to the system's voice, Lin Yuan was slightly surprised. He did not think that the nesting mission would be completed like this. He was still thinking about how to achieve the goal. In such a dangerous situation, with the missions coming one after another, he almost forgot about this mission. He did not think that it would be completed in such a way. It really caught him off guard. This was also an unexpected surprise. After the blood moon last night and the battle with the cold stone grass, even the 2 level 5 demonic beasts and most of the level 4 demonic beasts in the vicinity had been defeated by Lin Yuan, let alone the level 3 demonic beasts. Most of them were affected by the blood moon. Ding! Mission calculation complete. Mission reward, 2 attribute points and 1 chance to set up a nest. After the nest is opened, all attributes will be increased by 1 when you are within 500 miles of the nest. Ding! The second phase of the battle for the nest mission, Name of the Mountain Lord, has been activated. You have finally stood out from many opponents and successfully established a nest. However, the newly established nest will attract competition. You can only complete this mission after successfully repelling 3 waves of level 5 and above monsters. Lin Yuan exhaled and continued to digest the gains he had previously obtained. First, he looked at the item he had previously obtained, the light feather, which was the cluster of blue velvet feathers that was now growing at 7 inches on his neck. Item light feather, level 1 accessory. Speed +1. Additional skill, light feather wind. Skill, light feather wind. When you fall from a high place, you can glide for a short time. Lin Yuan was overjoyed. He carefully looked at the tuft of blue feathers on his neck under the reflection of the river. He really liked it. The ability to glide from a high place is really useful. With this skill, Lin Yuan's mobility has been greatly improved again in the complex mountains and forests. After looking at this item, Lin Yuan drew the skill he had obtained from completing the Blood Moon mission. It was the same feeling as last time, and it was the same routine as last time. After the skill was drawn, 3 perceptual lights appeared in Lin Yuan's mind. Tail strike skill, your body is now extremely large, and even the smallest movement has terrifying power. When you use your full strength, it will bring about unspeakable destruction. After activating this skill, your next tail swing will have an additional true attack attribute, and will cause a shockwave that will cover a radius of 50 meters. Skill powerful digestion, as a cold-blooded snake, you have broken through the shackles and become a level 5 monster beast. You have obtained a certain warm-blooded characteristic and have grown a pair of sharp fangs. From now on, you no longer need to swallow your prey. This will greatly increase your hunting efficiency, but your digestive ability will also change, and the frequency of eating will also greatly increase. Skill, Eyes of Petrification, as a level 5 demonic beast, you have already obtained a powerful ability to control water flow. However, this is only the beginning. After obtaining this skill, any living thing that dares to look at you in the eye will be affected by this skill and have a certain chance of being petrified. These 3 skills could be said to be very powerful. Tail Strike could greatly increase Lin Yuan's attack power. After all, Strangle had too many restrictions, and the additional true attack attribute damage was even more incredible. The explanation given by the system was that it could break through all physical defenses. This way, even if Lin Yuan faced an opponent with an abnormal defense, he would still have the strength to fight. It would not be like a tiger swallowing the sky and having nowhere to bite. The powerful digestion brought about a fundamental change. Lin Yuan was essentially a cold-blooded animal. Every time he hunted, he would have a bad feeling. The feeling of having to swallow prey was really not good, and the problem of his body temperature rising was also very uncomfortable. Although it will bring about an increase in the frequency of eating, it is not a problem. On the contrary, it is better to say that Lin Yuan is more accustomed to this feeling. Even after crossing over, human living habits still remain, and the feeling of not being hungry for a few months still makes him feel uneasy. As for the eyes of petrification, it was undoubtedly the skill that Lin Yuan wanted the most out of the three. The first thing he thought of was the legendary Lamia Medusa. It seemed that all-powerful snake-type monsters had similar abilities. However, the explanation given by the system also made him feel a little uncomfortable. The probability of the eyes of petrification was very vague. With his current strength, he could at most petrify a level 3 monster. A level 4 monster would have to depend on his luck, and a level 5 monster was even more out of the question. At most, it would cause a certain impact on the opponent. In a battle against an opponent of the same level, the improvement advantage was not as great as Tail Strike. After careful consideration, Lin Yuan really could not weigh the pros and cons. In the end, he had to use the method of elimination. First of all, the powerful digestion only brought about some changes in habits. It did not increase his combat power. Lin Yuan had venom to strengthen him, so he did not need to rely on his sharp teeth to bite anyone. Therefore, this skill was first eliminated. Among the remaining 2 skills, the eyes of petrification looked very pretentious and powerful, but it also had many restrictions. It could only be used to abuse noobs and had little practical significance. On the other hand, the Tail Strike's additional true attack attribute could be used as a trump card. In many situations, it might give Lin Yuan the ability to turn the tables. Thinking of this, Lin Yuan finally gave up on the eyes of petrification and chose Tail Strike. At this point, the benefits brought by the Blood Moon had been completely digested, and the Battle of the Nest mission had also entered the second stage. Lin Yuan's attributes had once again undergone earth-shattering changes. Host, Lin Yuan status, Big Black Snake, Evolvable, Realm, 5 out of 10 Talent, 1. Identify the enemy's location based on smell 2. Form an accurate image of a 500-meter radius around the body based on smell 3. Water control speed, 6 defense, 6 attack, 6 assignable points, 3 martial arts, golden body secret skills, 1. Strangle 2. Venom strengthen 3. Tail Strike item, Light Feather special reward, 1 chance to land in a nest mission, Battle of the Nest, Mission Stage 2, Name of the Mountain Master Special Mission, Greedy Heart. Lin Yuan exhaled. Looking at the attribute panel that had grown a lot longer, he felt a sense of satisfaction for no reason. He did not know where it came from. Then, looking at the 3 assignable points, he fell into deep thought. According to the system's previous explanation, starting from level 5, the attribute points needed for every level up would be an additional point. From level 4 to level 5, he needed 4 attribute points, so his total attribute points needed to reach 16 points. Lin Yuan could easily calculate that if he wanted to be promoted to level 6, he would need 16 attribute points plus 5 points, for a total of 21 attribute points. Level 7 would require 27 points, level 8 would require 34 points, level 9 would require 42 points, and level 10 would require 51 points. Previously, completing the Blood Moon mission had given him 3 attribute points, and all his attributes had broken through 18 points. Killing the Golden Lion had given him 1 point, and completing the first stage of the Battle of the Nest had given him 2 attribute points. With this, his total attribute points had reached 21 points, which was enough to be promoted to level 6. Chapter 25. With such a result, Lin Yuan did not hesitate and evenly distributed the 3 attribute points. Immediately, all of his attributes reached 7 points, and he was officially promoted to a level 6 monster beast. In fact, not even an hour had passed since he was promoted to a level 5 monster beast. Such a huge improvement made Lin Yuan almost laugh to the sky. Unfortunately, he was now only a python and did not have the ability to laugh. Not only that, but if he relied on the water manipulation to increase all of his attributes in the water and the nest, Lin Yuan's peak strength would even reach 27 points, which was equivalent to a level 7 monster beast. Looking at such a result, Lin Yuan was a little scared. In just a short 24 hours, with the help of a bunch of stupid missions, he actually rose to such a terrifying level in one breath. Lin Yuan was a little scared himself. Fortunately, he was not killed by these stupid missions, so Lin Yuan's heart was more excited at this moment. Putting aside these messy thoughts, Lin Yuan's top priority was to quickly find a place to set up his nest. In this way, his own strength could be improved, and in this chaotic and dangerous forest, he would have a little more ability to protect himself. Before, Lin Yuan was still thinking about where to set up his nest. To be honest, he preferred a mountain peak with a wide view, or choose a cliff. But now, with the bonus of the water manipulation talent and the nest's territory, Lin Yuan knew that only by setting up his nest near a water source could he let the nest and talent overlap, allowing him to obtain the greatest benefits. Then here, Lin Yuan pondered, looking at the big waterfall formed by the intersection of the three rivers. At this time, the sun had already reached the middle of the day, and the water mist on the river due to the waterfall had dissipated. Lin Yuan also looked at the system's harvest and attributes, and he was almost stunned. The big waterfall in front of him was hundreds of feet high, and behind him was a vast forest. Looking out, in the distance, there were endless mountains, and under the waterfall, there was a wide lake. The surface of the lake was as flat as a mirror. From Lin Yuan's point of view, the lake was like a crystal embedded in the forest. With a thought, Lin Yuan jumped into the river and followed the waterfall. The 1,000-meter-long waterfall carried the ferocious force of 10,000 galloping horses. Lin Yuan had no doubt that even the huge Lin Yuan would be swept away by it. If he fell, he would be smashed into a meat patty. He couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. Previously, he had wanted to rely on the waterfall to escape, but that was just wishful thinking. If he had really fallen, he was afraid that he wouldn't even be able to find a single scale. Fortunately, he had directly advanced in the waterfall and obtained the ability to control water. Therefore, he was able to move freely in this violent waterfall. Lin Yuan recalled the state he was in when he was promoted to a level 5 demonic beast. He felt that his ability to control water might have something to do with this big waterfall, because when he was promoted, there was a lot of overflowing spirit chi and earth chi that merged into his body. Thinking like this, Lin Yuan suddenly had a wonderful feeling. There seemed to be a vague connection between him and this big waterfall. Lin Yuan's current body size was more than 6 feet, which was 18 meters. Speaking of it, he was close to 20 meters tall. However, in this huge waterfall that was tens of miles wide and thousands of meters high, he still seemed small. Waterfall, Lin Yuan pondered. In such an environment, unless it was a demonic beast that had the same ability to control water as him, it would be impossible to even enter the waterfall in front of the mighty force of nature. It's really a natural treasure land. Lin Yuan sighed in his heart. He couldn't help but think of Sun Wukong in the journey to the west in his previous life, Flower Fruit Mountain Blessed Land, Water Curtain Cave. Suddenly, he quivered and planned to directly place his nest in this big waterfall. Lin Yuan swam in the waterfall and finally saw a huge rock across the big waterfall. Its location was on the upper left side of the big waterfall. Lin Yuan coiled around the huge rock, overlooking the whole lake. The surrounding scenery of hundreds of miles was panoramic. He had a feeling that the world was in his hands. Of course, he didn't have hands right now. No longer hesitating, Lin Yuan directly placed his nest. Suddenly, the whole waterfall seemed to be triggered. The huge rock that Lin Yuan coiled around shook and lifted up. The long river surged, and even the big lake surged with waves. The strange phenomenon caused the surrounding hundreds of miles. All kinds of beasts roared in the forest. Countless eyes, whether bright or dark, strong or weak, were attracted and looked in the direction of the big waterfall. Boom! The big waterfall stopped shaking. Behind the huge rock, a wide platform protruded into the depths of the mountain. The platform was located at the entrance of the wind. Wisps of wind carried water vapor and lingered, condensing and not dispersing. The rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth was attracted. Bo! At a certain moment, something in the air seemed to have been attracted, and it directly took root in the eye of the storm. Slender green vines spread out, and a strange snow-white flower grew. Accompanied by green leaves, the whole platform was full of vitality. Ding! Congratulations to the host for activating the nest. The second stage of the battle for the nest mission, the name of the Mountain Lord, has officially begun. Ding! Congratulations to the host, Nest Evaluation A System Notification, you've really hit the jackpot. Ding! Congratulations to the host for discovering a green leaf water lotus seedling. The green leaf water lotus seedling lingers between heaven and earth all year round, moving with the wind and falling with the water. Your nest attracted such a divine herb as soon as it was completed. It can be seen that your luck is very strong. What's going on with this system? Lin Yuan was ecstatic and at the same time a little dissatisfied. He didn't know if the system had done some maintenance when he wasn't aware, but its mouth was so smelly. In comparison, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that the system's previous cold attitude was very good. Ding! The system didn't stop and continued to give out notifications. However, this time the notifications were related to the green leaf water lotus. Lin Yuan couldn't help but put away his unhappy attitude and carefully looked at it. Green leaf water lotus, a saint-grade flower. It takes 1,000 years to germinate, 1,000 years to bloom, and 1,000 years to mature. If a mortal consumes it, they will have a lifespan of 10,000 years and have the opportunity to ascend. Its growth will turn into a natural paradise, and the spiritual energy will multiply. The system's notifications were mysterious and unclear, but there were also detailed notes. Lin Yuan looked at it carefully. Simply put, if this green leaf water lotus matured, even if it was an ordinary beast or human that consumed it, they would have the possibility of directly ascending. However, a full 3,000 years to mature was not a joke. Lin Yuan felt that this flower was enough to send him away. There was also a so-called natural paradise. Under the system's refinement, the most direct effect was that every 10 years, it would directly produce one attribute point for him. Chapter 26. Lin Yuan's expression instantly became strange. The green leaf lotus was a wholly rare flower. It had just taken root and still had 3,000 years to grow. Even if he could survive 3,000 years, when the flower bloomed, there would definitely be a phenomenon. He reckoned that he would attract countless big shots to fight over it. Whether he could keep the mature green leaf lotus was still a question. He thought that even if he couldn't eat the meat, he could at least drink the soup. It didn't seem too good. One attribute point every 10 years. If he wanted to rely on it to accumulate enough attribute points to reach level 7, he would need a full 60 years. No wonder the system's attitude suddenly changed. This green leaf lotus taking root in his nest wasn't an opportunity at all. It was downright troublesome. Not to mention the system's foul mouth, even Lin Yuan himself wanted to become Zhu An's top scholar in the liberal arts at this moment. Woo! A familiar long hiss suddenly sounded. The snake's forked tongue came out of its mouth, and the scene within a radius of 500 meters was imprinted in its mind. The Lin Xiang that had escaped earlier actually turned back once again. However, there was no longer any clarity in its eyes. All that was left was an extremely ruthless scarlet color. Its body emitted a vicious aura that desired to tear everything apart. The snake's forked tongue flickered. Lin Yuan's eyes flashed with a touch of complicated obscurity. The Lin Xiang was definitely one of the best among level 5 monsters, and its intelligence was obviously not low. However, after the golden lion caused it heavy injuries and Lin Yuan took away the cold stone grass, its heart was filled with anger and unwillingness. In the end, it couldn't escape the corrosion of the remaining power of the blood moon and turned into a monster that only knew how to kill. In a situation where it had already escaped, it actually turned back and tried to attack Lin Yuan once again. It was terrifying to think about. Lin Yuan only felt a chill pass through his body. If the cold stone grass hadn't fallen into his hands, would he have ended up like the Lin Xiang now? This was the real jungle. The law of the jungle was the only law. The loser had only one road, death. But it's fine. Lin Yuan's forked tongue flickered, hiding the cold stone grass in the depths of its nest. It wriggled its snake body and swept out from the stone platform. Its green feathers lit up with a green glow. Light feather wind was instantly activated. Lin Yuan glided out, heading straight for the Lin Xiang. Greedy Heart's mission was not completed yet. It was good that the forest elephant had delivered itself to their doorstep. They did not have to search for it slowly in the forest. Lin Yuan paddled across the water at an extremely fast speed. The effect of the 9 points of speed attribute was that Lin Yuan had already appeared in front of Lin Xiang before Lin Xiang could even react. Lin Xiang only managed to retaliate when he opened his mouth to bite Lin Yuan's head. His elephant trunk, which was also as thick as a bowl, lashed out like a long whip, smashing towards Lin Yuan's head. Tail attack. Just as the elephant trunk was about to hit Lin Yuan's snakehead, Lin Yuan's vertical pupils flashed with a cold light, and he immediately used his skill. With all his attributes, his strength was comparable to a level 7 demonic beast. Naturally, he would not care about the attack of a level 5 demonic beast. However, he instinctively did not want to use his head to hit the elephant trunk, just like how no one would want to be hit on the head. This was an instinctive reaction. The moment the tail attack was used, Lin Yuan suddenly felt his snake body stiffen. A strange energy surged out, instantly adjusting his snake body that was unable to move in midair. The snake tail was like a black steel whip, and its speed was 3 times faster than his flying attack. Woo! The snake tail collided with the elephant trunk. Lin Yuan immediately let out a miserable cry. 9 points of agility and 1 point of true damage. In just a moment of contact, the elephant trunk was directly broken by Lin Yuan's snake tail. The remaining part of Lin Xiang's body was also badly mutilated. This was not all. A terrifying shockwave followed, and within a radius of 50 meters, the ground cracked. Countless rocks and soil flew in all directions. Even the extremely tenacious weeds and trees were uprooted and scattered in all directions. Amazing! Lin Yuan glanced at Lin Xiang's miserable appearance, and immediately licked the system in his heart. The last skill, Venom Enhancement, was a poison that could kill demonic beasts of the same level. This time, the strength of the tail attack could be said to be unparalleled. It also had the effect of adjusting the body. If used well, it would definitely be a strange move. The system's products must be the best. While you're sick, I'll take your life. Lin Yuan's heart steeled, and his speed increased again. He directly rushed to the side of Lin Xiang's head, opened his mouth, and fiercely bit Lin Xiang's neck. The colorless and odorless snake venom was instantly injected into Lin Xiang's blood. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing level 5 demonic beast Lin Xiang. 0.5 attribute points gained. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing all the hunters while keeping the cold stone grass. Special mission, Greedy Heart, completed. Mission reward, 3 attribute points, 1 chance to draw a skill. When the venom spread in Lin Xiang's body, the system prompt instantly sounded. With this period of familiarity, Lin Yuan had already seen through the system's routine. With the system prompt, he could now obtain 1 attribute point by killing demonic beasts of the same level. If he killed demonic beasts of a lower level, he could only obtain 0.5 attribute points. If he bullied demonic beasts of a lower level, he might not be able to obtain any attribute points. System, Lin Yuan's eyes lit up. The attribute points that host can store cannot exceed the amount needed to level up, and the host cannot add more than 1 level. The wise system seemed to have already seen through everything. Lin Yuan just started to speak, and it directly gave the answer. Lin Yuan shook his snake head a little discouraged. He still wanted to use the system's loophole to stay at the current level, and rely on the attribute bonus to madly hunt demonic beasts of the same level as himself to achieve the goal of quickly increasing his strength. But the system obviously would not let him use this loophole. Currently, he was a level 6 demonic beast, and could only store an additional 6 attribute points. All his attribute points could not exceed 9 points. He could not achieve a level 6 demonic beast having the attribute points of a level 8 demonic beast. That's not right. He could use it. Lin Yuan's attribute points were all 21. He was still 6 attribute points away from becoming a level 7 demonic beast. He could completely increase 2 of his 3 attribute points to 9, and 1 to 8. Then, he could use this small loophole to store another 6 attribute points, and directly establish himself as invincible among demonic beasts of the same level. I'm really AF * king genius. Lin Yuan's heart was bursting with joy. The wave of indignation from the green leaf water lotus had also dissipated by quite a bit. It was a pity that the Blood Moon mission had already been completed. This Lin Xiang did not bring him any Blood Moon mission points reward. The level B light feather wind already gave him the heaven-defying ability to fly for a short period of time. If he could obtain the level A, or even the level S reward. Lin Yuan's saliva immediately flowed down. The rewards from a series of fraudulent missions were indeed considerable. That's not right. Lin Yuan suddenly became alert. Among the fraudulent missions that were triggered yesterday, there was still a crucial mission that had not been completed. Chapter 27. Dong. 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 A drum-like sound exploded in the distance. Lin Yuan hurriedly spat out his snake tongue and relied on his sense of smell to form an image of the surrounding 500 meters in his mind. A sense of horror suddenly swept through his whole body. Many people thought that snakes had no sense of hearing, but in fact, snakes only had a simple auditory organ structure, so their auditory response would be much slower. However, even though he could clearly hear the sound of footsteps, there was not a single demonic beast within a radius of 500 meters. This kind of strange situation could only mean that the demonic beasts rushing over here were still some distance away from his lair. However, it wasn't difficult to judge from the heaven-shaking footsteps that the demonic beasts coming over here were either very strong and huge in size, which was why there was such a loud noise, or there were a lot of demonic beasts coming over here. Moreover, they were similar to wild horses and antelopes, which were species that often ran long distances in groups. Therefore, the sound of their footsteps was almost uniform, and it was very shocking to the snake. Name: Battle for the Nest Stage 2, the name of the Mountain Master. Description: You have finally stood out from many opponents and successfully built a nest, but the newly built nest will attract competition. You can complete this task after successfully repelling 3 waves of demon beasts above level 5. Progress: 0/3. The description of the task given by the system was vivid in his mind. System, are you messing with me? Lin Yuan asked in a trembling voice as his snake tongue flickered in and out. With his current strength under the 2 buffs, he could deal with level 5 demon beasts in an instant, but he had been chased by Lin Xiang and Jin Shi before, so he did not have time to carefully look at the task. Before, he had roughly glanced at it and thought it was just 3 waves of level 5 demon beasts. However, at this moment, the word above was particularly eye-catching. Host, please correct your attitude. While the system brings you convenience, it will also remind you all the time that the jungle will always be the cruelest place in the world. You may get countless opportunities in the jungle, but you may also die in the mouth of a fierce beast in the next moment. Therefore, the host can either choose to become the existence at the top of the world's food chain, wantonly hunting those weak, or choose to end your own life, so that you will not end up in the stomach of other fierce beasts. Lin Yuan didn't expect the system to be so merciless. It seemed that ever since the green leaf water lotus had taken root in his lair, the system had been secretly altered. There was no time to argue with the system. In the olfactory imaging, the figure of the first demon beast had already appeared. It was a tall horse with green fur all over its body. Its fur was soft and smooth, and it was definitely the most suitable mount in the hearts of those fierce generals. The prerequisite was that they could ignore the sharp fangs that only carnivorous beasts would have in their mouths. It's just a 5th-level monster. Lin Yuan swung its tail and slowly retreated into the water. Only its head was above the water as it stared at the green horse. 1 horse, 2 horses, 3 horses, with the continuous sound of horse hooves, a total of 9 green horses appeared in Lin Yuan's line of sight. The first green horse was the most majestic, and it was obviously much taller than the others of its kind. It should be the horse king of this small group of horses. If its strength could be digitized, it would definitely be close to the existence of a level 6 demonic beast. There were also 2 foals mixed in with the green horse herd. Standing there, they were about 40 to 50 centimeters tall. Among the 5th level monsters, they were considered the smallest of the smallest, and should have just been born. The strength of the other 6 green horses was very average. They were standard 5th level monsters, neither strong nor weak. The horse king stared at Lin Yuan, who was hiding in the water. It seemed to have sensed the danger, and used its 2 front hooves to dig the ground uneasily. Lin Yuan could even see that the horse king's eyes were already starting to turn red. After about 10 seconds, the horse king saw that Lin Yuan didn't have any intention of taking the initiative to attack. It didn't wait any longer, and suddenly opened its bloody mouth. A ball of green light condensed in its mouth. Swish! A sharp sound broke through the air. A whirling wind blade smashed towards Lin Yuan, who was in the water. F***ck, so arrogant. I didn't even say anything when you came to snatch my territory, and you're already impatient. Seeing that the wind blade was coming at him fiercely, Lin Yuan's temper also rose. The mouth hidden under the water opened, and suddenly sucked in a large mouthful of lake water. His black tail heavily slapped the water surface, and in an instant, the lake water in his mouth was sprayed out by the high pressure, directly forming a bowl-sized water column. The whirling wind blade cut Lin Yuan's body, leaving a shallow white mark on his pitch-black snake body. After that, it dissipated in the air. It was just a horse king that was about to step into the 6th level. Not to mention that it hadn't taken that step yet. Even if it was a 6th level monster, so what? Just a casual wind blade could cut Lin Yuan's body, which was as strong as a 7th level monster's. Seeing that its attack didn't succeed, the horse king immediately tilted its head, and casually stepped aside, allowing the high-pressure water column that Lin Yuan sprayed out to graze its body, and hit a 5th level green horse. The huge impact immediately turned the 5th level green horse into a pile of meat paste. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing a 5th level monster, the green mane wind stepping foal. The reward is 0. 5 attribute points. The system beep sounded in his mind. Lin Yuan wasn't happy at all. When the horse king lightly stepped aside, it even looked at him with contempt, as if it didn't put him in its eyes at all, and only dodged to give him face. Who are you looking down on? Hiss, hiss. Lin Yuan instinctively wanted to spit out fragrance, but what came out was a flustered and exasperated snake hiss. Right now, he didn't have the ability to communicate with other monsters. Even if it was a snake, he couldn't understand the meaning of other people's snake hiss, and didn't expect others to understand what he meant. The only thing that could communicate with him normally was the system. Lin Yuan's body that rose from the water fell back into the water, and he subconsciously wanted to take in another mouthful of lake water. What am I doing? Lin Yuan suddenly asked himself a question. His innate ability was to control water. He could directly control the water to attack the horse king. Why did he have to be like that bald fool who liked to wear sunglasses and use his mouth to spray water? The lake water wasn't good to drink. Cheap horse, watch out for my arrows. After questioning himself, Lin Yuan suddenly swung his snake body, and used his tail to sweep out a large splash of water. Before the water splash landed on the ground, under Lin Yuan's innate ability to control water, it turned into a crystal-clear water arrow, and shot towards the disdainful horse king. Under Lin Yuan's control, the water arrows crisscrossed, like a fishing net thrown out. Harumph! This time, the disdain in the horse king's eyes disappeared, and it let out a roar. Chapter 28. The rest of the green mane wind stepping foals rushed to the side of the horse king, opening their mouths to form wind blades. Lin Yuan spat out the snake's forked tongue, and his pair of cold vertical pupils flashed with a dangerous chill. forming wind blades with their mouths. I've been waiting for you to do this. Do you not know how long the prelude to my skill is? Under Lin Yuan's control, the water arrow, which was not slow to begin with, instantly accelerated and pierced into their mouths. The two different forces of water and wind mixed together, creating a small explosion. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing level 5 demonic beast green mane wind stepping foal. Gain 0. 5 attribute points. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing level 5 demonic beast green mane wind stepping foal. Gain 0. 1 attribute points. A series of system notifications exploded in his ears. Lin Yuan's heart did not waver. Because the Horse King, which was also hit by the explosion of the two elements, did not die. At this moment, the Horse King appeared to be in a very miserable state. The flesh and blood around its mouth had been blown away, revealing its eerie white bones that looked extremely horrifying. Its sharp teeth were enough to make even top-grade carnivorous beasts blush with shame. Under the illumination of the sun, the Horse King glinted with a cold light. There was pain in its eyes. But there was even more anger and hatred. The Horse King, which had just survived the explosion, had actually successfully stepped into the ranks of level 6 demonic beasts. Its intelligence had once again increased by another level. So it was very clear that Lin Yuan had slowed down the speed of the water arrow in order to wait for them to form wind blades so that he could give them a fatal blow at the smallest cost. Activating special mission, Trapped Beast Struggle. Mission requirement: survive for 3 minutes under the Horse King's life-for-life attack. Mission reward: none. Failure punishment: death. If Lin Yuan had hands now, he would definitely point a middle finger at the system. Although the previous series of missions had almost killed him, the rewards were still quite good. However, this special mission was completely the system's bad taste. It was purely to remind the Horse King that he had to fight with his life on the line. Demonic beast berserk, whether it was in the novels of his previous life or in his recent experience, this term was not unfamiliar to Lin Yuan. A berserk demonic beast would lose its rationality for a short period of time. It would crazily attack its enemy without caring about how the enemy would retaliate. Even if it could not do so at the cost of its life, it would still want to bite off a piece of flesh from the enemy before it died. The Horse King's berserk duration was 3 minutes, and the strength increase brought about by berserk was still unknown. However, if the berserk demonic beasts that Lin Yuan had seen so far were to be digitized by the system, they would at least have a buff of +2 to all attributes. In other words, this Horse King, which was a level 6 demonic beast. In these 3 minutes berserk time, it would have the same strength as Lin Yuan, or even be a bit stronger than him. Host: Lin status: Big Black, can evolve, realm, 6 out of 10 talent, 1, identify enemy, S2. Forming an accurate image of a 500-meter radius around the body based on the odor of water speed, 7+2 defense, 7+2 attack points, 6 martial arts, golden body technique skills, 1. Strangulation poison, enhance 3. Tail attack item, light feather. Glancing at his own attribute points, Lin Yuan's heart ached. Killing Lin Xiang gave him 0. 5 attribute points. Completing the Greedy Heart mission gave him 3 attribute points. Killing 6 green mane wind stepping foals gave him a total of 3. 5 attribute points. There were still 2 foals with 0 and 1 attribute points. But the system could only store 6 attribute points. Rounding it up, he seemed to have lost 100 million. Gritting his teeth, he distributed the attribute points. His speed and attack both soared to 9 points, and his defense to 8 points. Looking at the system interface, after including the bonus, his attributes had broken through 2 digits, and the remaining 1 attribute point. Lin Yuan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew in his face. Lin Yuan subconsciously swung his snake head. From the corner of his eyes, he saw a green shadow flash by. The Horse King, which was originally standing on the shore, had already disappeared without a trace. Too much. Lin Yuan silently cursed. His 11 points of speed attribute was only enough to allow him to dodge in the nick of time. When the Horse King went berserk, it was like a god with a cheat code. It was definitely not as simple as +2 to all attributes. But, looking at the Horse King standing on the water, Lin Yuan's cold vertical pupils suddenly flashed with a cold light. If their battle was on the ground, perhaps he would really be beaten by the Horse King until he covered his head and ran away like a rat for a full 3 minutes. But the Horse King, who had lost its mind, actually took the initiative to give up its advantage on the ground and change the battlefield to this lake, which was extremely advantageous to it. The snake tail once again slapped the water surface. Lin Yuan jumped into the air, turning into a black shadow and biting towards the Horse King's neck. The Horse King did not dodge. It stood up like a human and raised its 2 front hooves to kick towards Lin Yuan. Tail strike. Lin Yuan launched his skill again. His figure quickly adjusted, and he became a little taller in a strange posture. His snake tail, which was as thick as a bowl, hit the Horse King's face, which had lost most of its flesh and blood. "Paw!" A crisp sound rang out. The Horse King staggered from being hit by Lin Yuan's snake tail. Several of its sharp teeth were broken. But it quickly adjusted its posture and opened its mouth to bite Lin Yuan's snake tail. But Lin Yuan, who had succeeded in one strike, had already dived into the water. He did not have any intention of easily coming out. Although the Horse King could stand on the water, it was unable to enter the water to fight. It frantically ran back and forth on the lake's surface. Green wind blades were spat out from its mouth, indiscriminately bombarding the water. This level of attack naturally could not catch the nimble Lin Yuan in the water. But the small fishes and shrimps in the lake suffered an unexpected calamity. Their weak bodies were directly torn apart by the wind blades, exploding into a bloody mist. In an instant, a large part of the lake was dyed red with blood. "You're so cold." Snakes did not have sweat glands. Otherwise, the current Lin Yuan would have already been scared to the point of breaking out in a cold sweat. In this forest where demonic beasts ran rampant, what did the thick smell of blood mean? It meant that in a short period of time, countless ferocious predators would gather in this area, which was emitting a thick smell of blood. At that time, what he had to face in this lair would not only be the 3 waves of demonic beasts arranged by the system. Instead, it would be the attacks of all the ferocious predators in the vicinity of this lake. Lin Yuan steeled his heart. Twisting his snake body underwater, he quickly approached the raging Horse King. At the same time, he used his innate skill to control water to calm the lake water, which was filled with bloody mist. He did his best to prevent the smell of blood from spreading. Chapter 29. Closer, closer. Lin Yuan was like a top-notch assassin, silently swimming in the water and getting closer to the Horse King. Even if the Horse King had lost its mind, it still didn't want to go into the water. It only used this method to attack Lin Yuan, who was hiding in the water. Lin Yuan, who was far more intelligent than these demonic beasts, naturally knew what it meant to play to one's strengths and avoid one's weaknesses. "If you don't want to go into the water, then I'll drag you into the water." The snake's body, which was more than 6 feet long, curled up into a ball and swam under the Horse King. Finding the moment when the Horse King turned around, Lin Yuan suddenly jumped out from the water. The pitch-black snake coiled around the Horse King's body. At the same time, he activated his water manipulation inherent skill and slowly sank to the bottom of the water. Under Lin Yuan's coiling, the Horse King was still struggling violently. The terrifying force caused Lin Yuan's body to hurt, as if he could be torn apart by the Horse King at any time. Strangle. Because of the pain, Lin Yuan didn't hold back anymore. The system's skills were released crazily, and the coiling body of the Horse King kept shrinking. Crunch, crunch, the teeth-numbing sound was especially eerie in the quiet water. This was because the Horse King's attributes were extremely high. If it was a normal level 6 demonic beast, after being hit by Lin Yuan's tail and strangle, it would have long been turned into a pile of rotten meat. But as the two of them sank deeper and deeper, the Horse King's struggling became weaker and weaker. Crack. A light sound was heard. The Horse King's bones were finally completely crushed by Lin Yuan. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing level 6 demonic beast Windstrider Horse King. Reward, 5 attribute points. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing a demonic beast of the same level for the first time. Reward, 1 skill draw chance. Ding! Congratulations to host for killing the Horse King in its berserk state. Completing the special mission Unquenchable Hatred. Reward, 1 attribute point. Following the Horse King's death, 3 consecutive system notifications sounded. Lin Yuan just lazily coiled up at the bottom of the lake. The snake's body was still coiled around the Horse King's body. He was tired, so tired that he didn't want to move at all. The system rewarded him with 1 attribute point for completing the Unextinguishable Hatred quest. In his opinion, it was like watching a circus clown perform, and after seeing the clown cry, the audience happily gave the clown a tip. Ding! It has been detected that a level 6 demonic beast is rapidly approaching. Host should escape as soon as possible. Ding! A class 5 demonic beast has been detected and is rapidly approaching. Host should escape as soon as possible. Ding! A class 5 demonic beast has been detected and is rapidly approaching. Host should escape as soon as possible. The system notifications kept ringing. Lin Yuan lazily raised his eyelids. Strangling the Horse King was too taxing on his mind. He even forgot to continue suppressing the blood mist in the water, allowing the smell of blood to drift out, which attracted the nearby demonic beasts to gather. Now that he had just set up his lair, he had directly encircled a territory of 500 miles. Normally, those demonic beasts wouldn't dare to provoke Lin Yuan when he was at his peak. But at this moment, Lin Yuan was heavily injured and mentally and physically exhausted. Once those demonic beasts found Lin Yuan hiding in the water, they definitely wouldn't let him leave alive. Lin Yuan suddenly felt that the system was like a Russian matryoshka doll, one pit after another. Ding! It has been detected that a level 7 demonic beast has been detected and is rapidly approaching. Host should escape as soon as possible. Ding! It has been detected that a level 6 demonic beast has been detected and is rapidly approaching. Host should escape as soon as possible. Previously, when the demonic beast appeared, the system notification made Lin Yuan, who was hiding in the water, tremble a little. But at least it was still within his expectations. But in this forest where demonic beasts ran rampant, 2 people had suddenly appeared out of nowhere. This made him have no choice but to think carefully. 2 level 7 and level 6 humans, appearing in this area where level 5 and level 6 demonic beasts ran rampant wasn't too surprising. After all, many humans called themselves demon slayers, and specialized in hunting and killing demonic beasts. Demonic beasts without spirituality would be killed on the spot and dismembered on the spot. Apart from the most valuable Yao core, the rest of the body parts, such as the meat and skin, would also be taken away by them. But the demon slayers who begged for food in the forest would never go near places like lakes. Regardless of whether they were demonic beasts or wild beasts, as long as they wanted to survive, they had to drink water. Therefore, extremely powerful demonic beasts usually lived near water sources. For example, the area Lin Yuan had chosen should be the largest water source in the area. Occasionally, level 7 and 8 demonic beasts would wander over to drink water, and then hold down a few ignorant low-level demonic beasts to exchange for food. Only after the sun had set would they be satisfied and walk deeper into the forest. Lin Yuan had no choice but to move. Sticking to the mud in the water, he slowly approached the 2 humans who had just arrived. The young miss is too much. She just had to say that the black snake had spirituality. Not only did it not harm her, it even covered her with clothes and saved her from that scum. Otherwise, the old ancestor and the others wouldn't have sent all of us to the Hengduan Mountains to search for that sentient black snake. Aren't demonic beasts all ball-like? What spirituality do they have? The level 6 human sighed, his face full of worry. He. The level 7 human sneered and said in a strange tone, do you really think that the old ancestor and the others sent us to search for that black snake because they doted on the young miss? Let me tell you, I've seen the corpse of that scum. Judging from the wounds on his body and the residual poison in his body, he did die in the hands of a snake-type demonic beast. Therefore, the young miss most likely wasn't lying. There really is a sentient black snake in the Hengduan Mountains. Big brother, you mean, the level 6 human understood immediately. The worry on his face dissipated and a glint flashed across his eyes. If that black snake didn't have some great opportunity, it must have eaten something incredible and gained intelligence, or it must have the bloodline of an ancient species. The reason why the old ancestor wanted us to capture that black snake should be because of the opportunity on the black snake. The level 7 human sneered, if that black snake had a great opportunity, then so be it. At most, the old ancestor and the others would bestow it to the young miss as a plaything. However, if that black snake had the bloodline of an ancient species, wouldn't the old ancestor and the others eat that black snake alive? Hearing the conversation between the two humans, Lin Yuan's eyes instantly turned gloomy and cold. This group of people really came for him. The young miss they were talking about was most likely the girl who was almost molested by her cousin. Who would have thought that just because he was moved by compassion once, he would actually bring disaster upon himself? It was fine if this group of people didn't know how to repay his kindness, but because they thought that he had the bloodline of an ancient species, they became greedy and specially sent experts into the Hengduan Mountains to search for him. Chapter 30. The two humans stopped at the side of the lake and scanned their surroundings, looking for any signs of demonic beasts. The level 6 human frowned and said weakly, "Why did Big Brother Lu who set this lake as our rendezvous point? Who knows what level of demonic beasts would come here to drink? I heard that those demon slayers who make a living in the Hengduan Mountain Range wouldn't easily get close to the water sources in the Hengduan Mountain Range. He is a servant of the Lu clan. Although he isn't weak, he has almost no experience in surviving in the wild." The level 7 human casually leaned against a tree and sneered, "Even if that black serpent is an ancient species, it can't be that strong since it appeared in the outskirts of the Hengduan Mountain Range." Lu who probably thought that the black serpent would come here to drink. He thought that even if he couldn't find the black serpent, he would still be able to find something by waiting here for a few days. Lin Yuan, who was eavesdropping on the two humans, sneered. The Lu who they were talking about wasn't stupid. He just didn't understand the environment in the wild. You want to wait here for a few more days? Although the area Lin Yuan appeared in was a corner of the Hengduan Mountain Range, the lake where he stayed was definitely the first choice of drinking water for countless demonic beasts. If it wasn't for his aura intimidating some weaker demonic beasts, this place wouldn't be so quiet. However, these two humans kept looking down on Lu Hu, but they didn't seem to understand the situation in the wild either. There were at least several hundred demonic beasts of the 5th level and above hiding nearby. They were all attracted by the smell of blood that had spread out earlier. If it wasn't for the fact that these two humans were of a high level and made these demonic beasts wary, they might have already been eaten by the horde. The level 7 human held a blade of grass in his mouth and said casually, "We brothers will rest here for a while. If Lu Hu doesn't come here before sunset, we will go straight back to the Lu clan. Without Lu Hu, an expert of the 8th level, I might not even be able to escape unscathed when the predators come out at night, let alone protect you." Escape unscathed? Then wouldn't you be dreaming? Lin Yuan sneered. There is no door to fortune or misfortune, only man can summon it. Previously, he had just turned into a black snake not long ago and had not fully adapted to the law of survival in the jungle. That was why he let go of the woman who was not a threat to him. It was fine that he did not receive any reward, but this Lu family actually sent a level 8 human to lead a team into the Hengduan Mountains to capture him. If he didn't teach this so-called Lu family a lesson, he wouldn't be able to live a peaceful life in the Hengduan Mountains in the future. You want to catch me in the jungle? I'll show you how hard it is to beg for food in the jungle. Lin Yuan swung his snake tail, and a water column was thrown out by him, hitting the tree that the level 7 human was leaning against. Boom! The thick tree swayed twice, and a slender crack gradually appeared at the place where the water column gathered. Then, it fell straight back. At the same time, a strong black shadow jumped down from the fallen tree. What is it? The level 7 human spat out the grass root in his mouth and hurriedly got up from the ground. He focused his eyes and saw a large black cat with a body length of nearly 10 meters. Its fur was smooth and silky, and it was sizing him up with its pair of dark green eyes. A level 6 demonic beast? The level 7 human's eyes widened, and he almost subconsciously reached out his hand to his waist. He wasn't a servant of the Liu family, but he wasn't a demon slayer either. In his early years, he was just a wanderer. He knew a little about demonic beasts, but he was clearly far from the professional level of a demon slayer. He could only recognize that this black cat was a level 6 demonic beast, but he didn't know what species it was, and he didn't know what talent it had. Shizi, quickly give me the saber. The level 7 human stared at the level 6 black cat as he slowly moved backward. Shizi was that level 6 human. Although he wasn't weak, he was actually inferior to him, and could only be his follower. In order to relax, he handed everything to Shizi. When he reached out his hand and touched nothing, he became even more flustered. The physique of a demonic beast was much stronger than that of a human. If he didn't have a suitable weapon, this level 6 black cat might be able to take his life. Brother Nan. Shizi's voice rang out. He didn't hand over the saber immediately, and he even sounded like he was about to cry. What the hell are you thinking about? Brother Nan had already retreated to Shizi's side. He saw the black cat's fur standing up, and the front half of its body was slightly bent, as if it was ready to attack at any time. He didn't dare to expose his back to the black cat. Woo. We're surrounded by demonic beasts. Shizi's voice no longer sounded like he was about to cry. Instead, he simply started to cry. Hearing Shizi's words, Brother Nan felt a chill rise from his waist, and it continued to climb up his spine. Like a tide of fear, it almost instantly engulfed him. Shizi had a level 6 cultivation. Although he wasn't as strong as him, he was definitely considered an expert in the nearby cities. How could he be scared to tears after being surrounded by a group of demonic beasts? Brother Nan's reaction was extremely fast. He reached out to grab the saber hanging on Shizi's waist, and at the same time, he quickly scanned his surroundings. Pairs of eyes filled with greed and bloodlust flashed past. What the hell is this place? Elder Brother Nan felt his legs trembling. He was confident that he could kill a level 6 black cat, but there were over 100 demonic beasts standing around him, and even the weakest one was level 5. With such a lineup, even a team of well-equipped demon slayers would have to die here, let alone a warrior like him. Lin Yuan, who was hiding under the water, didn't feel any fluctuations in his heart. All the creatures that entered the forest would either become the hunter or the prey. Although the flowing water had already carried away the blood-stained lake water, this place was still shrouded in the smell of blood. The low-level demonic beasts didn't dare to casually enter Lin Yuan's territory, fearing that they would be eaten by Lin Yuan as food. However, the demonic beasts that were of the same level as Lin Yuan, or slightly weaker than him, didn't have such concerns. They were attracted here by their hunger, and if they couldn't get food, they would definitely cause quite a commotion. If these two humans hadn't suddenly barged into this place, Lin Yuan really didn't know how to deal with this situation. Of course, he wouldn't be in any life-threatening danger. The lake water and the waterfall could already isolate most of the demonic beasts. As for Lin Yuan, he only needed to add one more attribute point to become a level 7 demonic beast. Breaking through would instantly allow him to return to his peak state, and dealing with these level 6 and level 5 demonic beasts would be as easy as bullying little children. In a life and death situation, he could cancel his plan of accumulating 6 attribute points to maximize his benefits at any time. Chapter 31. Just as Brother Nan and Shizi had their backs against each other and were trembling under the covetous gazes of the demonic beasts, a vigorous voice came from afar, instantly causing the eyes of the two to bloom with hope again. Brothers, move faster. Once we reach the gathering point, we can rest. Ding! A level 8 wild monster is detected to be rapidly approaching. Host should escape as soon as possible. Ding! A level 6 wild monster is detected to be rapidly approaching. Host should escape as soon as possible. Ding! A level 4 wild monster is detected to be rapidly approaching. The system notifications rang out one after another. Lin Yuan, who was hiding under the water, revealed a hint of lingering fear in his eyes. The level 8 wild monster should be the Lu who mentioned by Brother Nan and Shizi. He was also the leader in charge of the capture plan this time. There were 22 humans following behind him, and their cultivation ranged from level 3 to level 6. This Brother Nan should be the vice captain, so he brought Shizi away from the main group to search an area alone. Perhaps, Brother Nan had not only brought Shizi out. It was possible that the others had already been buried in the stomach of the demonic beasts. Charge out. Brother Nan's eyes shone brightly. He whispered to Shizi beside him, "There are so many demonic beasts above level 5 gathered here. If Lu Hu sees us from afar, he will definitely not save us. If we want to live, we have to break out of the encirclement at Lu Hu's side and lure the demonic beasts over, forcing them to make a move." Okay. Shizi also calmed down. With a face full of tears, he held a long saber and nodded fiercely. Who would choose to die if they could live? As for how much damage this wave of trouble would bring to Lu Hu and his team, and how they would be blamed when they returned to the Lu family, it was no longer within the scope of Brother Nan and Shizi's consideration. The two of them were not weak martial artists. Their movements were extremely fast. In the situation where hundreds of demonic beasts had not completely surrounded them, they chose the direction where Lu Hu's voice came from. With a few ups and downs, they rushed out dozens of meters away. Brother Nan even casually chopped down a leopard-type demonic beast that wanted to sneak attack them. "Let me see what gives you the confidence to capture me." Lin Yuan hid under the water. After confirming that all the demonic beasts were chasing after the two, he slowly climbed out of the water to the shore. He wriggled his snake body and followed behind them. His snake body was more than 60 feet long, but he didn't make any movements at all. He was like an assassin wandering in the shadows. This could be considered a snake-type talent. Without limbs, they could only rely on their bodies to kill their prey. If they did not know how to conceal themselves, they would starve to death. The two of them charged forward, covering a distance of over 300 meters. There was still some distance between them and Lu Hu. However, the Yao beasts behind them were extremely fast. They were practically right behind the two of them. Occasionally, the Yao beasts would spray out flames, wind blades, and the like to attack their backs. "I'm sorry, brother." Brother Nan's eyes suddenly flashed with a cold light. "What?" Shizi's reaction was slow as he raised his head to look at Brother Nan. Just as he opened his mouth, he felt an intense pain coming from his abdomen. His body flew up uncontrollably and heavily smashed into the group of Yao beasts behind him. Shizi didn't even have the time to curse before he was torn to pieces by countless Yao beasts. A large amount of flesh and organs were bitten and devoured. Even his blood was thrown into a bloody mist. The scene looked extremely tragic. Hiss hiss. Lin Yuan's snake tongue flickered as he coldly looked at this scene. Humans claimed to be the most intelligent of all creatures. However, deep in their bones, there was a thick, deep-rooted evil nature. It was just that some people concealed it, while some people just revealed this evil nature on the surface. It was said that even a vicious tiger would not eat its cubs. However, in the human society of his previous life, for the sake of benefits, it was not uncommon for brothers to fight against each other. Lin Yuan suddenly remembered a question he had heard in his previous life. It was said that if two people encountered a bear in the forest and couldn't beat it, what should they do? The answer was very laughable and cruel. The opponent was not the bear, but their companion. As long as they ran faster than the other person, then the one who would be eaten would not be them. The scene in front of him overlapped with the question he had heard in his previous life. Lin Yuan only felt a little amused. Brother Nan and Shi Zi had previously called each other brothers. When they were being chased by a group of Yao beasts, Brother Nan did not hesitate to throw Shi Zi into the group of Yao beasts for them to eat. Even though he knew very well that Shi Zi alone could not satisfy the group of Yao beasts, in order to buy himself 2 or 3 seconds, he still did not hesitate to make a move. Lu Hu's group was approaching, and Brother Nan was frantically fleeing. After the Yao beasts had eaten Shi Zi in an instant, they still chased after Brother Nan tightly. Su Nan, what the **ck are you trying to do? In the distance, walking at the front of the group, a burly man with dark and rough skin like an iron tower stared blankly at Brother Nan leading hundreds of Yao beasts towards him. He almost jumped up and cursed. No wonder they could run rampant in this area and didn't even see a single demonic beast above level 5. It turned out that they were all following Su Nan's ass. Brother. Brother who, save me. Su Nan panted heavily as he continued to run towards Lu Hu. He even shouted, Brother Hu, there is a good treasure here. These Yao beasts have gathered here to fight for the treasure. Quickly help me kill these Yao beasts. As long as we take this treasure back, even if we can't catch the black snake, the ancestor will still reward us. Humph. Prepare for battle. Lu Hu snorted coldly, but did not decisively run away. Instead, he reached out and pulled out a large sword tied to his back. The group of humans following behind him also pulled out all kinds of weapons. Among them, 10 people walked to the front of the group. They reached out and picked up exquisitely made crossbows, aiming at the Yao beasts in front of them. Lin Yuan, who was far behind the Yao beasts, narrowed his eyes slightly. In a flash, he hid in the bushes at the side. Whether it was this world or the literature he had read in his previous life, humans relied on various weapons and tools to drive the Yao beasts deep into the mountains and forests. In this world where Yao beasts existed, humans still occupied a large amount of fertile land to build cities and recuperate. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not doubt that humans had divine weapons and the like in their hands. For example, the large sword in Lu Hu's hand. The sword was 1 foot and 5 inches long, which was about 1.4 meters long. The thick back of the sword was engraved with a golden dragon. On the sharp edge of the sword, there were notches like sharp teeth. Even if Lin Yuan did not know much about cold weapons, he could feel the painstaking efforts of the craftsman on this sword. Even if a level 7 Yao beast was hit by this sword, its skin would be torn open and its flesh would be mangled. Chapter 32. Su Nan, if you can't give me an explanation, I'll skin you myself. Lu Hu looked at Su Nan, who was running quickly, and roared with a ferocious face, get ready to shoot. In fact, he didn't believe Su Nan. After all, he was a servant of the Lu family and had lived in the Lu family since he was a child. He didn't have a good impression of Su Nan, who was a foreign guest. However, the scene in front of him was too strange. Lu Hu had to believe that Su Nan really had a rare treasure. It was not rare for hundreds of demonic beasts to form a beast tide. However, it was strange that the weakest one among them was a level 5 demonic beast. Normally, a beast tide would be led by one or a few high-level demonic beasts. It was rare to see a beast tide of demonic beasts with similar strength in the entire Hengduan mountain range. Apart from the fact that Su Nan had snatched the rare treasure they had set their eyes on, Lu Hu couldn't think of any other reason why these powerful demonic beasts would gather in this place. Moreover, they didn't kill each other, and instead continued to bite Su Nan. After hearing Lu Hu's "get ready to shoot," Su Nan didn't continue to run. Instead, he quickly rushed forward and pressed his whole body to the ground. He didn't even dare to raise his head. Whoosh! 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 The crossbow bolts were shot out one after another and quickly escaped the restriction of the crossbows. Several demonic beasts that were about to pounce on Su Nan had just jumped up when they were shot by the crossbow bolts, which were as long as an adult's forearm. They died on the spot. The rest of the demonic beasts had to bear the attack of the crossbow bolts. Their advancing speed had been suppressed. Only the dozens of level 6 demonic beasts could bear the attack. The rest of the level 5 demonic beasts were shot to death in an instant. Only the demonic beasts behind the level 6 demonic beasts were spared. After a round of arrow rain, Su Nan continued to approach Lu Hu while rolling and crawling. The steel saber in his hand smashed the innate abilities of some demonic beasts. He didn't dare to slow down. Kill! Lu Hu raised the saber in his hand and took the lead. He roared and rushed out of the group. 10 crossbows shot out hundreds of bolts in an instant. Moreover, the bolts are specially made and can kill level 5 demonic beasts instantly. However, the threat to level 6 demonic beasts is extremely limited. At most, it can restrict the movement speed of the level 6 demonic beasts. Ha, the Lu family really paid a lot to catch me. Lin Yuan quickly made a judgment on the current situation. His vertical pupils flashed with a cold chill. If it weren't for the coincidence, the crossbows prepared by Lu Hu and the others would have been used on him. After the rain of arrows, the number of demonic beasts that remained was less than half of the previous number. However, after being stimulated by the fresh blood, they became even more ferocious. Under the leadership of 36th-level demonic beasts, they clashed with Lu Hu's team. A nearly 6-foot-long wild boar used its tusks to pierce through the intestines of a human cultivator. In the blink of an eye, another human cultivator slashed at it, chopping off one of its trotters. Before this human cultivator could even celebrate, a crimson python coiled around him. In just a few breaths of time, a large amount of blood was squeezed out from the cracks in the python's body. Both sides fought back and forth, but Lin Yuan, who was hiding at the side, was distressed. Those were all his attribute points. In the past, he could still obtain them. However, after the system's evolution, he could no longer obtain them. Whether it was a human or a demonic beast, if they died like this, he wouldn't be able to obtain any benefits. Thinking of this, Lin Yuan slithered his snake body through the bushes, slowly approaching the battlefield in front of him. He had 5 attribute points stored in his hands. If he killed 2 or 3 6th-level demonic beasts or humans, he would be able to advance and officially enter the ranks of the 7th-level demonic beasts, becoming the top predator in this area. The black cat that was confronting Su Nan was split into 2 by Lu Hu's blade. Only then did Lu Hu rush to Su Nan's side. Frowning, he asked, "The treasure you mentioned, what exactly is it?" "Brother Hu, I'm not your opponent. Naturally, I wouldn't dare to lie to you. The treasure is indeed in my hands, and I've already sealed it away. Once we kill these demonic beasts, I'll give you the treasure. If I take it out now, it will only make these demonic beasts more violent and cause unnecessary casualties." Su Nan slashed a large green bird that swooped down and replied in a hurried tone. Lu Hu thought carefully and felt that Su Nan's words were reasonable. He simply stopped asking and waved his large blade to kill the demonic beasts. Naive. Lin Yuan, who was approaching the battlefield, sneered again and again. What kind of treasure does Su Nan have? He only provoked these demonic beasts, so he was chased to this place. A casual lie forced Lu Hu to fight the demonic beasts. Once the battle was over, no matter how strong Lu Hu was, he would be exhausted, right? This Su Nan probably didn't intend to let Lu Hu live from the moment he lied to him. He was clearly wearing the skin of a human, but this Su Nan was even more vicious than the venom secreted by his fangs. After killing another level 6 demonic beast, Lu Hu suddenly frowned. He tilted his head and looked to the side. A black snake with a length of about 60 feet was shuttling through the battlefield at lightning speed. From time to time, it would attack the injured humans or demonic beasts. It looked like a glutton choosing a meal that suited its taste. It's that black snake. Lu Hu's mind buzzed. This black snake didn't mindlessly attack human cultivators like the other demonic beasts. It even attacked the injured demonic beasts as prey. When it encountered something not to be trifled with, it would stay far away. it wouldn't be reckless at all. With such extraordinary intelligence, perhaps only the black snake that the young miss spoke of could match it. But this size, was a 6 feet long snake still a snake? Did the young miss see wrongly back then? Or could it be that this black snake really had the bloodline of an ancient species in its body? That was why it grew at such a shocking speed. It grew from a small black snake to a 20-meter giant in such a short time. Lu Hu's eyes flashed with eagerness. Naturally, it wasn't his turn to share the benefits of the old ancestor. But if he could bring this black snake back to the Lu family, for a long time in the future, the Lu family would pay for his cultivation resources with their eyes closed. A person who is about to die, but his abacus is quite good. Noticing the eagerness in Lu Hu's eyes, Lin Yuan sneered in his heart. Lin Yuan allocated a little attribute point to defense, and a warm current suddenly swept through his whole body. The 6 feet long snake body once again grew by more than 2 feet, and the overall length had exceeded 25 meters. The snake body, which was as thick as the mouth of a bowl, was also as thick as the mouth of a small barrel. It leveled up again. Lu Hu was surprised and happy. He knew that this black snake wasn't ordinary, but he never thought that the black snake's aptitude would be so terrifying. Chapter 33. Lin Yuan and Lu Hu looked at each other across a distance of 200 meters. Then, he slapped the ground with his snake tail, borrowed the force, and flew into the jungle beside him, disappearing without a trace like a ghost. Amazing. Lu Hu's eyes showed a touch of vigilance. This black snake had just advanced to Class 7, but its speed was much faster than ordinary Class 7 demonic beasts. If it wasn't for the fact that the black snake had slapped the ground and left a black spider web-like crack that covered an area of about 30 meters, he might have thought that the black snake he saw was just an illusion. Brother Hu, Su Nan strode to Lu Hu's side, his face was almost pale. The Lu family asked them to enter the Hengduan Mountains to capture a black snake with extraordinary intelligence. At first, he thought it was just a task to please the ancestors. But at this moment, after seeing the black snake with his own eyes, Su Nan suddenly realized that he was simply wrong. How could he be qualified to capture a monster of this level? If this black snake was among the monsters before, he would have become the black snake's food. Even if they were both level 7 monsters, Su Nan didn't think that he had the power to fight the black snake. After all, the difference between a human and a monster's physique was too big. If he slashed the black snake with his saber, the latter would most likely not feel pain or itch. At most, it would be irritated. But if he was hit by the black snake's tail, his bones would be broken on the spot. Chase. Lu Hu narrowed his eyes and directly interrupted Su Nan. He stepped in the direction of Lin Yuan's departure. How long has it been since the miss returned to the Lu family? This black snake had grown from a harmless little snake to a body length of more than 25 meters. Among the level 7 monsters, it could be regarded as a top monster. If he couldn't capture the black snake back to the Lu family today, when the next time he organized people to enter the Hengduan Mountains, who knew what level the black snake's strength had reached? No, Brother Hu, Su Nan spoke again with a difficult expression. The Lu family's slaves were still fighting with the demon beasts. Without a top expert like Lu Hu in front of them, those Class 6 demon beasts were simply not something that the Lu family's slaves could resist. Now that the battle had turned into a one-sided massacre, Lu Hu not only didn't want to help the Lu family's slaves, but instead wanted to chase after that terrifying black snake. However, Lu Hu didn't give Su Nan a chance to speak. His whole body had already shot out, and the thick broadsword in his hand was almost like a whirlwind. The trees that were in his way were instantly cut down by the blade light. F***ck. Su Nan cursed and chased after Lu Hu with an unsightly expression. It was the instinct of living creatures to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages, and it was even more so for a selfish person like Su Nan. Seeing that Lu Hu did not hesitate, he did not even look at the Lu mansion's servants who were screaming for help behind him. The black snake's strength was indeed terrifying, but Lu Hu still had the golden dragon saber that the Lu family bought at a high price. Any demon beast below Class 9 could only temporarily avoid Lu Hu's attack, let alone a black snake that had just reached Class 7. Moreover, the Lu family's slaves had already begun to be slaughtered by the demon beasts. If Lu Hu didn't help, with his Class 7 strength, he wouldn't be able to change the outcome of the battle. If he was trapped here, he might not even have the chance to escape. As for the other options, they were all blocked by Su Nan's rationality. Return to the Lu family? They hadn't caught the black snake, and they had lost almost all of their men. Even Lu Hu's whereabouts were unknown, and they didn't have the rare treasure that he had lied to Lu Hu about. If he returned to the Lu family under such circumstances, being skinned alive by the ancestors would be considered a light punishment. As for crossing the Hengduan mountain range alone and going to other cities or countries, that would be even more of a joke. The demon beast forest in the periphery of the Hengduan mountain range almost took his life. Then how could he go to the depths of the Hengduan mountain range, which was known as the forbidden area of the human race, where even the top demon slayers didn't dare to casually step into? The two followed the trail left behind by the black snake, and soon arrived at the edge of a huge lake. It's still a water snake. Lu Hu stabbed the golden dragon saber into the soil beside him, his face so gloomy that it was almost dripping water. With the speed of the black snake, he didn't have 100% confidence that he could stop it even if they were on the ground, let alone underwater. Brother Hu, why don't we go back first and report the situation here to the ancestors? I think with just the two of us, we'll only be food for the black snake if we go underwater. Su Nan said, feeling a little weak in his heart. When he came back to the lake, he suddenly thought of something. For example, where did the water column that lured out the Class 6 black cat and the demon beasts come from? Su Nan had been wandering the Jianghu for a long time. Although he couldn't compare to professional demon slayers, he had seen many demon beasts. However, it was his first time seeing an existence like the black snake that knew how to use other demon beasts. With such intelligence, was it really just a Class 7 snake-type demon beast? It's too late. Lu Hu sighed. His mind recovered some clarity, and he said, now, even if we want to leave, the black snake won't let us go. It clearly could have used the force of that slap to fly away and return to this lake without leaving a trace, but it just left behind the snake shin that can be said to be a guiding light for us. Take a guess, why did it lead us here? Su Nan's face turned pale. How could this beast be so smart? And it knew how to play the game of inviting others into its trap. Alas. Lu Hu sighed helplessly. He patted Su Nan's shoulder and said in a deep voice, "You're the only one left of your team of 20 people. I know you took a big risk to snatch the treasure from the hands of those demonic beasts. But now, the situation is better than you. If you throw the treasure into the lake, perhaps that black snake will let us go." Su Nan's face turned even paler. "Brother Hu, I'll tell you the truth. Don't be angry." Su Nan coughed dryly, and said, "Actually, I didn't find any treasure at all, and I don't know why those demon beasts were chasing me like crazy. I lied to you because I was worried that you would retreat with your team. If that happened, I would definitely die under the claws of the demon beasts, so, slap." Before Su Nan could finish his words, Lu Hu slapped him across the face. "Do you think I'm a fool?" Lu Hu pointed at Su Nan, and roared, "If you don't have any treasure, how did you attract hundreds of demon beasts of Class 5 and above? Look at the situation now. If you still want to take the treasure, neither of us will be able to leave here alive." Chapter 34. I really didn't. I just wanted to live. After being slapped by Lu Hu, Su Nan immediately roared with red eyes. The sudden appearance of the black snake had completely disrupted his previous plan. Now, Lu Hu still had the strength to fight, and he had a treasure like the golden dragon saber in his hand. He was definitely not an existence that he could contend with. If they fought now, Lu Hu would pay the price of minor injuries at most to take his life. Then tell me, why did the black snake lead us here? Lu Hu's gaze was like ice that would never melt. His calm gaze caused Su Nan to shiver involuntarily. He no longer had the reckless drive to catch the black snake. Once it entered the water, the black snake was already in an invincible position. Only those experts above LV10 who could release their genuine chi externally would be able to catch this cunning black snake from the water. However, this was far beyond his ability. Even if there were opportunities everywhere in the Hengduan Mountains, it was impossible for him to break through the threshold of LV10 and become an extraordinary immortal just by eating 2 wild fruits like in the storyteller's story. If it were other monsters, he could still think of a way to lure the black snake ashore. Even if he could not catch the black snake alive, he could at least take the opportunity to kill the black snake and eliminate any worries. However, at this moment, he had already seen the intelligence of the black snake. He was very clear in his heart that this kind of demonic beast, whose intelligence was not inferior to that of humans, would not be easily fooled. Moreover, from here to the nearest human gathering place, even if they hurried through the night, it would take at least 3 days of travel. If this black snake followed behind them and attacked from time to time, it would be enough to wear him down to death. At the same time, Lin Yuan, who was lurking under the water, changed his posture and exposed his white belly, allowing the water to wash his body. He sneered in his heart, "You will know my purpose soon." Name, Battle for the Nest Stage 2, the name of the Hill Master. Description: You have finally stood out from many opponents and successfully built a nest. However, the newly built nest will attract competition. You can complete this task after successfully repelling 3 waves of monsters above level 5. Progress, 2/3. Lin Yuan glanced at the system's quest panel and felt very happy. The first batch of green mane wind-stepping foals almost took his life. Especially after the Horse King broke through to the 6th level, it had an additional berserk effect. Even if he won in the end, his condition was extremely bad. Didn't you see the system advising him to escape when he scanned the 5th level monsters on the map? What was a class 5 demonic beast in his eyes? Even if you killed him, you might not get any attribute points. The second stage of the beast horde was undoubtedly much more terrifying than the green mane wind-stepping foals. Hundreds of 5th-grade beasts and above were gathered around the lake. Among them, there were 30 to 46th-grade beasts. If the system gave him another mission that didn't allow him to avoid the battle, he would really have to fight to the death. Fortunately, Su Nan and Shi Zi had arrived at the side of the lake by accident. First, they scared away a group of monsters that were rather vigilant and unwilling to get entangled with humans. Then, they lured the remaining monsters to collide head-on with Lu Hu. Lin Yuan reckoned that the battle over there had already ended, and the remaining demonic beasts had eaten their fill, so they simply returned to their own homes. The system immediately determined that he had completed the second stage of the beast horde mission. Then, what about the third beast horde? Would it be even more terrifying than the second beast horde? Lin Yuan didn't know, and he didn't want to take the risk. Since the system had tacitly allowed him to borrow the strength of humans, Lin Yuan didn't need to face the dangers of the third beast horde head-on. As for Lu Hu's plan? Hiss! Lin Yuan opened his mouth and flicked his tongue, revealing his sharp venomous fangs. Not to mention that Su Nan didn't have any rare treasures. Even if he did, so what? Only children could choose. Adults wanted everything. Not to mention that this group of people was here to capture him. Even if they were a group of demon slayer masters who had mistakenly entered this place, Lin Yuan wouldn't let them leave. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, a series of loud sounds rang out in the distance, like rolling thunder. Even Lin Yuan, who was hiding in the water, could feel the lake shaking. A pair of vertical pupils the size of 2/3 of a human head lit up. Compared to the sound of the azure mane wind treading foals approaching, this time, he heard a much louder and clearer sound. He could even tell that the thunderous sounds came from the footsteps of a certain demonic beast. Lin Yuan spat out the snake's forked tongue underwater. A demonic beast that walked on 2 legs was at least one of the strongest demonic beasts of the 7th grade. Even the ferocious Horse King wouldn't have much of an advantage against it. Combining all these factors, Lin Yuan quickly thought of another overlord in this area. It was a demonic beast that had escaped from the depths of the Hengduan Mountains. Although it was only a demonic beast of the 7th grade, its combat strength was comparable to a demonic beast of the 9th grade. Moreover, as a demonic beast of the primate species, it was obviously more intelligent than those demonic beasts that only knew how to use their claws and fangs to attack. It also knew how to use some simple tools. Lin Yuan didn't have any qualms about having such a terrifying existence near his lair. After all, he was now a water snake, and the other party preferred to roam freely in the mountains. Moreover, there were no boundaries between their territories. Unless Lin Yuan wanted to be strong enough to hunt it down and turn it into his attribute points, there was almost no possibility of conflict. However, Lin Yuan never thought that the boss assigned to him in the name of the Mountain Master mission would be this demonic beast. Mountain Shaking Ape. Lu Hu, who was standing on the shore, spat out the name of the demonic beast with a gloomy face. How could it be the Mountain Shaking Ape? Su Nan exclaimed. His legs trembled as he said, "Isn't the Mountain Shaking Ape one of the tribes in the depths of the Hengduan Mountains? This is only the periphery of the Hengduan Mountains. How could the Mountain Shaking Ape appear here?" Lu Hu laughed at himself and murmured, "It seems that you really don't have any rare treasures on you. That black snake probably predicted that the Mountain Shaking Ape would come to find trouble with it, so it deliberately led us here to use us to fight against the Mountain Shaking Ape. I didn't expect that I, Lu Hu, would be tricked by a beast. Ha 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 ha, how ridiculous. Then we should leave first, sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight?" Under the fear, Su Nan almost couldn't speak clearly and incoherently. He stood beside Lu Hu and trembled slightly. The demonic beast of the 7th grade was already in existence that he couldn't compete with. How could the Mountain Shaking Ape, which was rumored to have a growth limit of 10 and above, be easy to deal with? Being sandwiched between these two ferocious beasts, it would be an extravagant hope for him to die in one piece. Chapter 35. That's impossible. That Mountain Shaking Ape's foundation was damaged by Demon Slayer. That's why it was driven out by its clan and had no choice but to come to the periphery of the Hengduan Mountains to make a living. It hates humans to the core. No matter whether it's here to cause trouble for the black snake or not, it won't let us leave after seeing us. Lu Hu said in a deep voice, looking in the direction where the Mountain Shaking Ape had come from. Lu Hu didn't spend much time in the wilderness. At most, he would occasionally bring a few brothers to make up the numbers when the Lu family's caravan didn't have enough guards. However, after living in the Lu family for so many years, Lu Hu actually knew some of the Lu family's secrets. The Demon Slayer team that had provoked the Mountain Shaking Apes was hired by the Lu family's ancestor. Their original intention was to capture a few Mountain Shaking Apes and tame them. Unexpectedly, those Demon Slayers were not skilled enough. Not only did they fail to steal the Mountain Shaking Apes' cubs, they even disturbed them. The two sides fought a great battle. The team of Demon Slayers, which had 2 warriors above the 10th level, was completely wiped out. 7 Mountain Shaking Apes were killed, and countless others were injured. This Mountain Shaking Ape that had been driven out was either a lucky or unlucky guy. Demon Slayer had severely injured it and thought that it was already dead, so he didn't finish it off. Unexpectedly, this guy had survived, but its foundation had been damaged, and its strength had regressed to the level of a 7th level demonic beast. It couldn't survive in the depths of the Hengduan Mountains, so it was driven out by its clan. Roar. A roar came from afar. Su Nan had just heard this roar when he felt a gust of wind coming at him. Clang. Lu Hu, who was standing beside Su Nan, reacted quickly. He raised the golden dragon saber in his hand and firmly blocked the incoming fist. However, Su Nan, who was slightly weaker and unprepared, was directly hit by the Mountain Shaking Ape's sneak attack. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying toward the lake. Bang! Suddenly, a water column shot out from the calm lake and caught Su Nan firmly. Then, it gently brought Su Nan back to Lu Hu's side. Lu Hu, who had seen this scene with his own eyes, felt his scalp tingle. That black snake really had this idea. He wanted to use them to fight against the Mountain Shaking Ape. Otherwise, Black Snake would have taken the opportunity to take Su Nan's life. Why would he save Su Nan? Motherf asterisk Kerr, let's fight. Lu Hu abruptly leaped up, not caring if Su Nan was dead or alive. Gripping the golden dragon saber with both hands, he launched his most powerful attack at the nearly 10 jong tall ape, who was half sitting on the ground. Its entire body was covered in silver-white fur, and its chest, abdomen, and other parts of its body were exposed to the air. If he stood on the side of the Black Snake and fought against the mountain-shaking ape, he could at least preserve his life for the time being. Only when he was alive could he make other plans. But if he tried to escape now, not to mention the mountain-shaking ape, even the Black Snake wouldn't agree. Roar! The mountain-shaking ape became even more irritable when it saw that this tiny human was actually not scared to the point of fleeing and even dared to attack it. Even if it was driven out of its tribe, it used to be one of the rulers of the depths of the Hengduan Mountains. The dignity of a king was absolutely inviolable. The mountain-shaking ape suddenly raised its right arm. Lin Yuan, who was floating on the water, keenly saw that a layer of gray light suddenly flashed on the arm covered with silver-white fur. This guy can use his superpower on himself? Lin Yuan was slightly startled. All demonic beasts would awaken abilities after reaching level 5. For example, the Lin Xiang and the Golden Lion that he saw earlier could summon stone spikes, and the Golden Lion could spit fire. Then there was the Green Mane Wind Stepping Foal, a demonic beast with an extraordinary bloodline that could condense wind blades to attack its enemies. But all the monsters Lin Yuan had seen, including himself, could control some kind of element to attack. The attributes of the mountain-shaking ape were similar to the Lin Xiang. They both had the innate ability to control the earth and rocks, but it could use this ability on itself to increase its defense or strength. It was indeed a tribe that lived in the depths of the Hengduan Mountains. Everyone's skills were not on the same level. Lin Yuan's current ability to control water was at most a shallow use of elemental power. Only after practicing to the level of the mountain-shaking ape could it be called a skill. Zap! The golden dragon saber slashed heavily on the mountain-shaking ape's petrified right arm, splashing out a burst of sparks. The mountain-shaking ape suddenly punched out with its free left hand, directly smashing towards Lu Hu, who was still in the air and had nowhere to borrow strength. Su Nan, if you don't King make a move, both of us will die. Lu Hu's eyes were filled with scarlet red streaks. He still maintained the posture of slashing his saber as he roared out. Su Nan, who was lying on the ground, got up with a resentful expression. He waved the steel saber in his hand, mobilized his true chi, and jumped into the air to meet the mountain-shaking ape's fist. After confessing that he did not have a rare treasure, Su Nan knew that he had offended Lu Hu. If he hadn't given the wrong information, Lu Hu wouldn't have recklessly chased him here, and he wouldn't have become a bargaining chip used by the Black Snake to fight against the mountain-shaking ape. Strictly speaking, he and Lu Hu were already mortal enemies. Therefore, Su Nan just wanted to wait until the Black Snake could not help but join the battle between Lu Hu and the mountain-shaking ape, then he would find a chance to sneak away. He did not expect that his deliberate act of lying on the ground after being punched by the mountain-shaking ape had been seen through by Lu Hu. Although the steel saber in Su Nan's hand was not as good as Lu Hu's golden dragon saber, Su Nan still managed to block the fist of the mountain-shaking ape. He did not let the ape attack Lu Hu, who was trying to break its defense. Damn it, when is this Black Snake going to make a move? Is it going to wait for us to die and then fight with the mountain-shaking ape? How is this possible? How can a level 7 Black Snake be the opponent of the mountain-shaking ape? Lu Hu turned his head and glanced at the Black Snake whose body was half floating out of the air. Suddenly, an absurd idea came into his mind. This beast seemed to be laughing. What was it laughing at? Hiss hiss. Lin Yuan slowly flicked the snake's tongue, relying on the smell to detect the wind and grass within a radius of 500 meters. A sinister villain like Su Nan wanted to play tricks. It was okay to bully a guy like Lu Hu who was inexperienced. Compared to the fickleness of human nature, good and evil, Lin Yuan had seen in his previous life, Su Nan's little trick was as simple as a child who was still in kindergarten in Lin Yuan's eyes. Silently observing the mountain-shaking ape's movements and looking for the opponent's weakness, Lin Yuan opened the attribute pane. He still had 5 attribute points in his hand. Including all attributes after the bonus, his attribute points were enough to accumulate to 38 points. Chapter 36. That's impossible. That mountain-shaking ape's foundation was damaged by Demon Slayer. That's why it was driven out by its clan and had no choice but to come to the periphery of the Hengduan Mountains to make a living. It hates humans to the core. No matter whether it's here to cause trouble for the Black Snake or not, it won't let us leave after seeing us. Lu Hu said in a deep voice, looking in the direction where the mountain-shaking ape had come from. Lu Hu didn't spend much time in the wilderness. At most, he would occasionally bring a few brothers to make up the numbers when the Lu family's caravan didn't have enough guards. However, after living in the Lu family for so many years, Lu Hu actually knew some of the Lu family's secrets. The Demon Slayer team that had provoked the mountain-shaking apes was hired by the Lu family's ancestor. Their original intention was to capture a few mountain-shaking apes and tame them. Unexpectedly, those Demon Slayers weren't skilled enough. Not only did they fail to steal the mountain-shaking apes' cubs, they even disturbed them. The two sides fought a great battle. The team of Demon Slayers, which had 2 warriors above the 10th level, was completely wiped out. 7 mountain-shaking apes were killed, and countless others were injured. This mountain-shaking ape that had been driven out was either a lucky or unlucky guy. Demon Slayer severely injured it and thought that it was already dead, so he didn't finish it off. Unexpectedly, this guy survived, but its foundation was damaged, and its strength regressed to the level of a 7th-level demonic beast. It couldn't survive in the depths of the Hengduan Mountains, so it was driven out by its clan. Roar! A roar came from afar. Su Nan had just heard this roar when he felt a gust of wind coming at him. Clang! Lu Hu, who was standing beside Su Nan, reacted quickly. He raised the golden dragon saber in his hand and firmly blocked the incoming fist. However, Su Nan, who was slightly weaker and unprepared, was hit by the mountain-shaking ape's sneak attack. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying toward the lake. Bang! Suddenly, a water column shot out from the calm lake and caught Su Nan firmly. Then, it gently brought Su Nan back to Lu Hu's side. Seeing this scene with his own eyes, Lu Hu felt his scalp go numb. That black snake really had this idea. He wanted to use them to fight against the mountain-shaking ape. Otherwise, Black Snake would have taken the opportunity to take Su Nan's life. Why would he save Su Nan? Motherf *Ker, let's fight. Lu Hu abruptly leaped up, not caring if Su Nan was dead or alive. Gripping the golden dragon saber with both hands, he launched his most powerful attack at the nearly 10 tall ape, who was half sitting on the ground. Its entire body was covered in silver-white fur, and its chest, abdomen, and other parts of its body were exposed to the air. If he stood on the side of the black snake and fought against the mountain-shaking ape, he could at least preserve his life for the time being. Only when he was alive could he make other plans. But if he tried to escape now, not to mention the mountain-shaking ape, even the black snake wouldn't agree. Roar! The mountain-shaking ape became even more irritable when it saw that this tiny human was actually not scared to the point of fleeing and even dared to attack it. Even if it was driven out of its tribe, it used to be one of the rulers of the depths of the Hengduan mountain range. The dignity of a king was absolutely inviolable. The mountain-shaking ape suddenly raised its right arm. Lin Yuan, who was floating on the water, keenly saw that a layer of gray light suddenly flashed on the silver-white fluffy arm. This guy can use his superpower on himself? Lin Yuan was slightly startled. After reaching level 5, demonic beasts would awaken superpowers. For example, the Lin Xiang and the golden lion he saw before could summon stone spikes, and the other could spit fire. Then there was the green mane wind stepping foal, a demonic beast with an extraordinary bloodline, which could condense wind blades to attack the enemy when it was born. However, all the demonic beasts Lin Yuan had seen, including himself, could control some kind of element to attack. The mountain-shaking ape's attributes were similar to the Lin Xiang's. They both had the innate ability to control the earth and rocks, but it could use this ability on itself to increase its defense or strength. It was indeed a tribe that lived in the depths of the Hengduan mountain range. Everyone's skills were not on the same level. Lin Yuan's current ability to control water was, at most, a superficial use of the power of the elements. Only after practicing to the level of the mountain-shaking ape could it be called a skill. Sizzle. The golden dragon saber slashed heavily on the mountain-shaking ape's petrified right arm, splashing out a burst of sparks. The mountain-shaking ape's free left hand suddenly punched out, directly smashing towards Lu Hu, who was still in the air and had nowhere to borrow strength. Su Nan, if you don't King make a move, both of us will die. Lu Hu's eyes were filled with scarlet streaks. He still maintained the posture of slashing his saber as he roared out. Su Nan, who was lying on the ground, got up with a resentful expression. He waved the steel saber in his hand, mobilized the true qi in his body, and jumped into the air to meet the mountain-shaking ape's fist. After confessing that he did not have a rare treasure, Su Nan knew that he had offended Lu Hu. If he hadn't given the wrong information, Lu Hu wouldn't have recklessly chased him here, and he wouldn't have become a bargaining chip used by the black snake to fight against the mountain-shaking ape. Strictly speaking, he and Lu Hu were already mortal enemies. Therefore, Su Nan just wanted to wait until the black snake could not help but join the battle between Lu Hu and the mountain-shaking ape, then he would find a chance to sneak away. He did not expect that his deliberate act of lying on the ground after being punched by the mountain-shaking ape had been seen through by Lu Hu. Although the steel saber in his hand was not as good as Lu Hu's golden dragon saber, Su Nan's strength was enough to successfully block the mountain-shaking ape's fist, and did not let it attack Lu Hu, who was trying to break its defense. Damn it, when is this black snake going to make a move? Is it going to wait for us to die and then fight the mountain-shaking ape? How is this possible? How can a level 7 black snake be an opponent of the mountain-shaking ape? Lu Hu turned his head and glanced at the black snake, whose body was half floating out of the air, and suddenly an absurd idea came to his mind. This beast seems to be laughing. What is it laughing at? Hiss hiss. Lin Yuan slowly flicked the snake's tongue, relying on the smell to detect the wind and grass within a radius of 500 meters. A sinister villain like Su Nan wants to play mind games and bully an inexperienced guy like Lu Hu. However, compared to the fickleness and warmth of human nature, good and evil, Lin Yuan has seen in his previous life, Su Nan's little tricks are as simple as a child who is still in kindergarten in Lin Yuan's eyes. Silently observing the mountain-shaking ape's movements and looking for the opponent's weakness, Lin Yuan opened the attribute pane. He still had 5 attribute points in his hand. Including all attributes after the bonus, his attribute points were enough to accumulate 38 points. Chapter 37. Lin Yuan looked at the quest reward and was at a loss for a moment. He could randomly draw a one-time item with no level restriction. If he was lucky, it was possible to draw a magic scroll that could destroy the world like in the novels of his previous life. However, this kind of lucky draw not only had a high upper limit, but also a low lower limit. If he was unlucky, he might even draw a thank you for your patronage. Lin Yuan added the remaining 5 attribute points to the interface. Feeling the increase in his strength, he became more confident. Host, Lin Yuan status, Big Black Snake, Evolvable, Realm, 7 out of 10 Talent, 1. Identify the enemy's location based on smell 2. Create an accurate image of a 500-meter radius based on smell 3. Water control speed, 11 plus 2 defense, 10 plus 2 attack, 11 plus 2 assignable points, 0 martial arts, golden body secret skills, 1. Strangle 2. Venom strengthen 3. Tail strike item, light feather skill draw count, 2 with the blessing of 38 attribute points. Lin Yuan had already brazenly swung his snake body and ferociously smashed it toward the mountain-shaking ape, who was staring at him vigilantly. The thick snake body was like a thick black log, fiercely crashing into the arms of the mountain-shaking ape. Boom! Boom! After being hit by Lin Yuan, the mountain-shaking ape staggered back 2 steps. Only then did it realize that the thorn in its side had entered its attack range. It roared and opened its arms to tear Lin Yuan's snake body apart. Tail strike. The reaction of Lin Yuan, who had succeeded in the sneak attack, was obviously much faster than that of the ape. His black snake tail fiercely whipped the wound on the ape's right arm. Lin Yuan's huge body, terrifying speed, and a little bit of true damage and shock power attached to the tail attack skill immediately smashed the flesh and blood of the ape into the air. Gulp. Su Nan swallowed a mouthful of saliva with difficulty as he watched the incredible battle in front of him. Lu Hu's action of using more than half of his true chi to attack was simply laughable in the face of true power. The black snake swung its tail and hit the ape's wound. This weak point attack almost broke the ape's arm. Su Nan could even clearly see that after the ape's right arm lost its flesh, the pale white bones and the red flesh membrane attached to the bones were exposed. He knew that the black snake was very smart. However, the black serpent's actions had repeatedly refreshed his worldview. He even began to suspect that there was a human soul with rich combat experience in the black serpent's body. Lin Yuan's tail strike had almost broken one of its arms. The mountain-shaking ape roared angrily once again, its intact left hand fiercely smashing towards Lin Yuan's snake head. Pooh! Lin Yuan didn't have time to dodge, but he didn't allow himself to be slaughtered. He opened his bloody mouth and spat out a thick water column. The water column was compressed under the high pressure in his mouth, and its impact was definitely not much weaker than the battering rams used to ram the city gates. Su Nan had no doubt that if he were to collide head-on with this water pillar, he would probably be smashed into pieces. However, this level of water column was completely child's play for a Class 7 monster like the mountain-shaking ape that specialized in defense. It was just that the timing of Lin Yuan's attack was too good, and the angle of the spray was too tricky. Even the mountain-shaking ape, who had rich combat experience, could only take a few steps back and close its eyes, afraid that the water column that Lin Yuan spat out would hurt its eyes. Let's see if you can get angry. Lin Yuan took advantage of the situation to get close again, using the front half of his body and the snake head as support. The thick snake tail constantly swung, whipping the mountain-shaking ape that had closed its eyes and retreated. While swinging the snake tail, it also added a tail strike with true damage from time to time. The tall and sturdy mountain-shaking ape simply couldn't dodge. Lin Yuan's snake tail whipped open its skin and flesh. It kept roaring angrily, but it could only be infuriated because Lin Yuan's attack speed was too fast. Not to mention counterattacking Lin Yuan, it couldn't even get out of Lin Yuan's attack range. At this moment, the mountain-shaking ape hated Lu Hu to death. It hated him more than the monster slayer masters who had caused it to fall to this point. If Lu Hu hadn't injured its arm, and if this black snake hadn't seized the opportunity, how could it have been in such a sorry state? Roar! The mountain-shaking ape suddenly raised its left hand and swung away Lin Yuan's snake tail. It took a deep breath and let out a loud roar at Lin Yuan. A terrifying wind swept over along with the pungent smell, forcing Lin Yuan to retreat several meters before stabilizing his body. What the F***ck? After stabilizing his body, Lin Yuan suddenly opened his snake eyes wide and looked at the mountain-shaking ape in disbelief. In its left hand, a 6-meter-long stone staff was condensed from the mountain stone elements, and it wasn't much thinner than Lin Yuan's snake body at the moment. Pole vaulting in the latrine pit, you've gone too far. Lin Yuan took a deep breath and felt that his whole snake body was in a bad mood. While they were fighting, the other party had directly used its weapon. How was he going to continue this fight? Seeing that Lin Yuan had the intention to retreat, the mountain-shaking ape suddenly opened its mouth, revealing 2 rows of neat and sharp white teeth. It seemed to be laughing. Just you wait. Lin Yuan said ruthlessly in his heart, and then rushed toward the direction of the lake very willingly. In his current state, he could still fight hand-to-hand with the mountain-shaking ape, but the stone staff in the mountain-shaking ape's hand was definitely not something he could hit with his snake body. If he made a mistake and got hit, he would probably be seriously injured even if he didn't die. How could the mountain-shaking ape's name, mountain-shaking ape, be undeserved? Seeing that Lin Yuan was about to run, the mountain-shaking ape was immediately unhappy. Just now, when Lin Yuan had the upper hand, he didn't show any mercy. When he crazily swung his snake tail, his moves were also extremely insidious. He couldn't wait to hit the wound on the mountain-shaking ape's right arm every time he swung his tail. Now that the mountain-shaking ape had taken out its big stick, Lin Yuan wanted to slip away when he saw that he was about to be beaten. How could there be such a good thing? Boom! 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 The mountain-shaking ape stood up and held the stone staff in his left hand. His footsteps were swift as if he was flying. At the same time, he constantly waved the stone staff, trying to hit Lin Yuan in front of him. However, Lin Yuan's movements were extremely detailed, almost flying in ants shape. The mountain-shaking ape's probing attacks couldn't touch him at all. Chapter 38. In the end, the mountain-shaking ape failed to stop Lin Yuan. After all, the agility of the two on flat ground was completely incomparable. Lin Yuan's catapulted start was much more advantageous than the mountain-shaking ape's running. Dong! 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 The mountain-shaking ape constantly uprooted trees and threw them at Lin Yuan like javelins. However, this seemingly furious mountain-shaking ape did not make the same mistake as the Horse King. It stomped its feet on the shore, but refused to enter the water. This was because it knew that it could not exert 80% of its strength underwater. Even waving the stone staff was extremely difficult. However, the black snake could move freely underwater and could even mobilize the water to attack it. Of those who could become the Beast King in the Hengduan Mountains, none of them were free. Lin Yuan crazily swam upstream along the waterfall. In the blink of an eye, he returned to his lair. He coiled on the boulder across the big waterfall and coldly looked at the exposed mountain-shaking ape, Lu Hu who was waiting for death, and Su Nan who was trembling. His mind was spinning quickly, thinking about the next countermeasures. The mountain-shaking ape with the stone stick was obviously not to be trifled with. It was definitely not an existence he could contend with now. Fortunately, there was no way to end the snake. His current means could not deal with the mountain-shaking ape. Didn't he still have 2 skill draws? What if he gambled a powerful skill? With a thought, 3 perceptual light spots suddenly appeared in Lin Yuan's sea of consciousness. Skill, tail strike enhancement. Your body is larger, and a casual movement can bring destruction. Now, a full swing of your snake tail is enough to split mountains. After activating this skill, your next tail swing will add 2 points of true damage. When the snake tail falls on the target, it will cause a second shock damage. If the snake tail does not hit the target and falls on the ground, it will cause a small earthquake covering a range of 300 meters. Skill, stealth. As a snake, you are a natural assassin. When you are still, even the best hunter in the jungle will find it difficult to detect your tracks. After activating this skill, you can stay still for 30 seconds to achieve the effect of invisibility. You can move slowly, but your attacks or violent movements will cause the stealth skill to lose its effectiveness. Skill, extreme cold. As you control the water flow, you will often feel that the water flow is too mild. Without a certain amount or speed, the water flow alone is not enough to cause fatal damage to the enemy. After this skill is activated, it can increase the host's affinity towards ice and frost. When using water-type skills, the host will be able to add an additional freezing effect. The 3 skills appeared in Lin Yuan's perception, making it difficult for him to choose. There was no need to consider strengthening Tail Strike for the time being. This was because the skill itself was frightening enough. Not only would it increase true damage, but it would also cause a shock effect. It was a skill that would only become stronger as his strength increased. There was no way it would be eliminated. As for the remaining 2 skills, they could be considered as extremely important skills. After all, the effects of a water column and an icicle were completely different. For example, a demonic beast like the mountain-shaking ape could easily block Lin Yuan's water column. But what if he used an icicle instead? That wasn't something that could be solved by taking a few steps back. As for the importance of concealing his presence, it went without saying. He wasn't the kind of snake that would have a hard time catching prey without concealing himself. After all, his speed was very high. There weren't many demonic beasts that could outrun him. Even the mountain-shaking ape, which was close to the 10th rank, couldn't catch up to him. However, as his strength increased, Lin Yuan's body would also grow bigger. When that time came, the demon slayer who hunted demonic beasts for a living would definitely not let him go. The 8th rank Lu who already brought him a lot of pressure. If another demon slayer came to hunt him, it was very likely that an existence above the 10th rank would appear. After thinking for a moment, Lin Yuan merged his consciousness with the light representing extreme cold. To put it bluntly, the conflict between the demon slayer and the demonic beasts was unavoidable. However, that was a matter for the future. Currently, Lin Yuan was facing a huge problem. If Lin Yuan couldn't deal with the mountain-shaking ape before the system's patience reached its limit, the system had already marked out the consequences in the mission punishment. The system didn't give him a time limit, but it did give him a punishment for failure. This wasn't a good thing. Judging from the system's Russian doll character, it was most likely up to no good. Suddenly, Lin Yuan felt his vision blur. He blinked subconsciously, and his vision became clear again. Ha! Lin Yuan opened his bloody mouth and spat out a gust of white cold air. The speed of the waterfall around him slowed down a bit. Using his innate skill of water manipulation, he summoned a ball of clear water in front of him. At the same time, he activated the extreme cold skill. The ball of water immediately condensed into a translucent crystal in front of Lin Yuan, reflecting Lin Yuan's current appearance. It seemed that he hadn't changed much from before. However, his vertical pupils, which took up 2/3 of his head, had changed from black and white to a pair of blue and white vertical pupils. Lin Yuan couldn't see any fluctuations of emotion in these vertical pupils. Activating his innate skill, the crystal in front of him began to transform and disintegrate, forming a fancy-looking weapon. The snake's tongue was no longer red like before, but more like a snowy white. However, Lin Yuan's scales were still pitch black, and didn't change to white or blue because of the extreme cold skill. In the innate skill window, there was an additional parenthesis, water/ice, behind the water manipulation skill. After roughly understanding the changes brought about by this innate skill, Lin Yuan gave up on the idea of continuing to draw skills. His blue and white vertical pupils stared at the enraged ape of the mountains below. "You're F***king copying, aren't you? Come, let's see who has more guys." Light feather activated again, and Lin Yuan directly jumped down from the stone platform, gliding towards the ape of the mountains. Roar! The ape of the mountains' eyes suddenly revealed a look of excitement. It turned sideways and aimed in the direction of Lin Yuan. Its left hand clenched the stone club, and it assumed a baseball stance. It seemed that it intended to send Lin Yuan flying with the club. Gotcha! Gotcha! At this moment, the originally incomparably tranquil lake suddenly began to tremble. Water separated from the lake and floated in the air. Then, under the incredulous gazes of Su Nan and the ape of the mountains, the water quickly froze into ice, turning into weapons that Su Nan had never seen before. Swords, spears, clubs, axes, hooks, forks, all 18 types of weapons were present. Moreover, there were more than 50 of them. Chapter 39. The mountain-shaking ape lowered its body slightly, exposing its fangs outside of its mouth, and let out a low roar of unknown meaning. The instinct of the beast was reminding it that this black snake was far stronger than it had imagined. Su Nan was also stunned for a moment, not knowing how to evaluate the sudden change in the wind direction. In the world of demonic beasts, the law of the jungle was always the unchanging truth. Even if a lion in its prime was hunting a little white rabbit with almost no fighting power, it would not hesitate to use its full strength. Words like hiding one's strength and holding back often appeared in human society. Perhaps higher-level demonic beasts would also learn similar actions from humans. However, in the battle between low-level demonic beasts, they often wished they could use 120% of their strength, resulting in a fierce fight between bites and claws. This black snake was actually still hiding its strength until now. The black snake was still gliding slowly in the air, but the blades formed by the ice of the lake brought along a sharp sound as they slammed into the huge body of the mountain-shaking ape. Seeing the ice weapons surrounding the mountain-shaking ape and constantly strangling it, Su Nan inexplicably thought of the words of the storytellers in the big cities who praised the top human experts. The existence of that level could scatter countless sword shadows with a raise of their hands, easily tearing everything in front of them into pieces. Although the black snake's method of condensing water into ice was far from the power of the legends, it inexplicably reminded Su Nan of the powerful figures of the human race. Countless sharp icicles cut the body of the mountain-shaking ape. Even if the mountain-shaking ape waved the stone stick in its hand and broke all the ice weapons close to it, it was useless, because the broken ice would quickly condense into smaller and sharper icicles, once again joining the ranks of strangling it. Even the surrounding ground was covered with all kinds of sharp icicles. Every time the mountain-shaking ape was forced to retreat by the ice blade storm, a few icicles would be embedded in the soles of its feet. Just as the mountain-shaking ape was still struggling with the ice blade storm, Lin Yuan had already glided to a place more than 10 meters behind it and stabilized its body. The blue-white vertical pupils faintly overflowed with cold air, and the thick snake tail once again turned into a black whip shadow, smashing towards the mountain-shaking ape in front of it. The constantly rotating ice blade storm was like a loyal guard who made way for the king. When it was about to touch Lin Yuan's tail, it dodged in all directions. Boom! The black snake tail smashed down, but it did not hit the back of the mountain-shaking ape. Instead, it hit the ground. After all, it was a demonic beast close to LV-10 in the past. Even if it was seriously injured, the mountain-shaking ape's combat experience was extremely sharp. At the moment when the ice blade storm behind it stopped strangling, the mountain-shaking ape had already made a dodging posture, and even threw the indestructible stone stick in its hand, directly to the front, penetrating the strangling range of the ice blade storm. The mountain shaking. Lin Yuan's blue-white snake pupils suddenly flashed a touch of light. The ground under the snake tail cracked inch by inch, and directly caved in. A large amount of lake water almost instantly poured into the pit made by Lin Yuan. This is a trap. From Su Nan's point of view, the black snake's tail smashed the ground, and the ground suddenly caved in, revealing the pit that had been filled with lake water below, while the mountain-shaking ape that rushed out plunged into the lake water. Before the mountain-shaking ape could struggle, the ice blade storm that strangled it scattered by chance, turning into ice chips all over the ground. However, the water where the mountain-shaking ape was in instantly solidified into a huge ice block, firmly imprisoning the mountain-shaking ape in it. Only the mountain-shaking ape's head was exposed, and it was shivering in the surrounding cold air. While fighting head-on with the mountain-shaking ape, it secretly set up a trap. Before the rhythm of the battle entered the stage where the two beasts fought to the death, it used the lake water and ice to control the mountain-shaking ape. The ferocious mountain-shaking ape, in front of this black snake with extraordinary intelligence, did not have any advantage at all. Ding! Congratulations to host for completing the mission, the one and only king. The reward is being calculated, ding. Congratulations to host for obtaining 3 attribute points. Ding. Congratulations to host for obtaining a random system template X1. Ding. Congratulations to host. Within a radius of 500 miles, there are no demonic beasts of level 5 and above that dare to be your enemy. The second stage of the battle for the Nest mission, the name of the Mountain Master, has been completed. The reward is being calculated, the calculation is complete. In this mission, host killed a total of 6 green mane wind stepping foals, 2 green mane wind stepping foals, 1 green mane wind stepping foal king, and 1 mountain shaking ape. Completion rate is 100%. Mission evaluation is A. The reward is being obtained, ding. Congratulations to host for obtaining 1 attribute point. Ding. Congratulations to host for obtaining a proficiency level template. After defeating the mountain-shaking ape, a series of system notifications rang out. Lin Yuan's initial joy gradually turned into sadness. As expected of the Russian Matryoshka doll system. One trap after another. When the second wave of demonic beasts was lured away by Su Nan, Lin Yuan was still feeling pleased with himself. He felt that he had found a loophole in the system. In the future, he might be able to complete many missions with the help of external forces, saving him time and effort. Who would have thought that when the mission was being calculated, the system would give Lin Yuan a tight slap across the face. After completing the first stage of the mission effortlessly, the second wave of demonic beasts did not bring any benefits to Lin Yuan. What the F***ck is this? Forget it, I should have understood the principle of, the more you work, the more you get. Lin Yuan coiled up his snake body and used his mind to ask again, System, can you explain what this template is? Huh? The system's synthesized voice rang out again. However, just this huh was enough for Lin Yuan to hear the endless disdain and doubt in the system's voice. After a while, the system slowly replied, the host can't be so naive as to think that the system only has these insignificant abilities that you have seen so far, right? For example, after the host completes the Battle of the Nests mission, the proficiency level template obtained can be directly used to increase the host's martial arts, cultivation methods, skills, talents, and other cultivation progress. This can greatly reduce the host's time in this aspect and allow the host to complete the advancement in the shortest time possible. The atmosphere suddenly became a little awkward. Other than when Lin Yuan had just obtained the golden body technique and tried to cultivate it once, he had been busy with the ridiculous missions that the system had given him. Therefore, Lin Yuan had not had the chance to cultivate the technique and had even forgotten about it. Chapter 40. Host, Lin Yuan status, Big Black Snake, Evolvable, Realm, 7 out of 10 Talent, 1. Identify the enemy's position by smell, cannot be advanced, 2. Form an accurate image of a 500-meter radius around the body by smell, 0/100, 3. Water/ice control, 0 out of 100, speed, 11 plus 1 defense, 10 plus 1 attack, 11 plus 1 assignable points. For martial arts, golden body secrets, 0/25, skills, 1. Strangle, 0 out of 100, 2. Venom enhancement, 0 out of 100, 3. Tail strike, 0 out of 100, item, light feather random system template X1 skill draw number, 1. Looking at the new values that appeared on the attribute panel, Lin Yuan felt his heart beating violently. The huge snake body trembled slightly, and Lin Yuan asked excitedly, System, the advancement of golden body secrets only requires me to invest 25 attribute points. The current level of golden body secrets is relatively low. Every time the host invests an attribute point, it can refine a 1-meter golden body. The host's body is currently about 25 meters long, so golden body secrets can only be invested with 25 attribute points for the time being. In addition, the system kindly reminds the host to have a sense of propriety when dreaming. As if it was stunned by Lin Yuan's daydream, even the system was silent for a while before the synthesized electronic voice sounded again. Is there any other way to increase proficiency other than investing attribute points? Lin Yuan was splashed with a basin of cold water by the system, but he quickly recovered. According to his original cultivation method, even if he ate all the demonic beasts in this area, the energy produced in his body might not be enough to refine his 25-meter snake body. Now, he only needed 25 attribute points. In other words, without any mission rewards or heavenly treasures, he would be able to complete the first stage of the golden body technique by killing 25 level 7 demonic beasts. What else could he hope for? The host can also increase proficiency when cultivating by himself or using skills on opponents of the same level or higher level. The system was not stunned by Lin Yuan's daydream this time and quickly gave an answer. Lin Yuan secretly clicked his tongue. Originally, when a proficiency model was released, he thought that the system was going to change. He didn't expect it to be a scam. The proficiency he used before unlocking the model was not included in the calculation. Everything had to start from scratch. Oh right, how do I unlock the system model? Lin Yuan suppressed the miscellaneous emotions in his heart and asked the most important question seriously. Although Lin Yuan was only looking at the big picture at the moment, he had seen the benefits of the system's unlocked templates. Naturally, he was very eager about this matter. When the host's strength reaches a certain level, the system will naturally unlock a new model. Alternatively, the host can draw unlimited items or give them to the host through mission rewards. Lin Yuan's forked tongue flickered. He didn't ask the system any more questions. Instead, he sank into deep thought. Although everything had been settled, Su Nan and the mountain-shaking ape were still alive. In addition, Lu Hu, who was still using his own vital energy to resist Lin Yuan's poison, was still alive. Lin Yuan had to think about how to deal with these three. There was no need to say anything more about Lu Hu. Either way, he was going to die. This person was the slave of the Lu clan who had been drooling over him. If he allowed Lu Hu to leave this place alive, who knew what kind of existence would come looking for trouble the next time? As for Su Nan, such a sinister villain could be used well, but unfortunately, Lin Yuan could not communicate with other species, let alone communicate with other species. He could not even communicate with his own kind. After careful consideration, Lin Yuan decided to take a gamble and directly drew the skill. After 4 consecutive skill draws, Lin Yuan already had a preliminary understanding of the system's function. In addition to some skills produced by the system, some of Lin Yuan's own thoughts could also affect the result of the skill draw. For example, when he killed the 2-headed gray eagle, the system detected the desire in Lin Yuan's heart and created a mutated skill to tempt Lin Yuan. Also, when he drew the skill the last time, the system also detected that Lin Yuan didn't want to fight with the high-level human experts for the time being, so it created a stealth skill. These skills seemed to be very useful, but in fact, they were still the system's pitfalls. A skill that he didn't know what kind of mutation it would produce, and a skill that seemed very useful but didn't have the slightest use in the situation at that time. Compared to the other skills, it was simply a wrong answer that looked like the standard answer. But this time, Lin Yuan planned to use this loophole in the system to take a gamble. It didn't matter if he lost the gamble. At worst, he could just kill all 3 of them. He could even recover a wave of attribute points to stop his loss. Skill, scale armor. After seeing the golden dragon saber in Lu Hu's hand and the stone staff in the mountain-shaking ape's hand, you have deep doubts about your own defense. This skill is a passive skill. After the host selects it, the host will undergo a molting. The new skin will become hard scales, and it will be difficult for ordinary swords to damage it. Dissolving poison. As a gigantic serpent, your venom is of little value to you. After choosing this skill, you can dissolve your venom into any liquid. Even the lake you are in, as long as you are willing, and with enough time, you can turn it into a poisonous pond that is a forbidden zone for life. Skill, spirit of all things. You have now become the new Beast King, but a Beast King has always been a role model. There is no need for you to do everything by yourself. Therefore, how to communicate with your subordinates has become the most troublesome problem for you. After obtaining this skill, you can communicate with any sentient creature. Success. Seeing the 3 new skills that had been refreshed, Lin Yuan's face immediately showed a hint of joy. This round of skill selection could be said to be good or bad. After all, the scale armor and dissolving poison skills were dispensable to him. Especially the scale armor skill. When the golden body secrets was cultivated to the peak, he could completely become invulnerable to swords and spears, water and fire. Then why would he want a scale armor that was difficult to be damaged by ordinary swords? After selecting the spirit of all things skill, Lin Yuan suddenly felt his mind suddenly shake. It was as if a large amount of information had suddenly entered his mind, causing his brain to shut down a little. The scene in front of him was a little blurry. Shaking his huge snake head, he regained his clarity. Lin Yuan once again froze the ice that was controlling the mountain-shaking ape. Just a moment ago, Lin Yuan almost let the mountain-shaking ape break free from its current restraint. "Let me go. You disgusting long worm." The mountain-shaking ape roared again, but this time when the roar fell into Lin Yuan's ears, it was clearly translated into a meaning that Lin Yuan could understand. "Shut up." Spitting out the snake tongue, Lin Yuan raised his snake head and looked down at the mountain-shaking ape trapped in the ice. "You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.